Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
The Patriots grade out as the second best team, I guess is the way to put it, in terms of net differential of opponent rest versus Patriots
really
rest.
Scraping the barrels.
But
The geeks have already taken over the schedule now.
but that's
I didn't realize I could despise this any more than I do.
Like, how do you leave oysters?
You realize they look like a giant snot, and you're like, I don't really want to eat that.
If the UK Patriots fans want to, do a party, I'll go.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just
America's guest will be there.
No,
Fred Hirsch.
I love Evan's defense of his manhood is ask my daddy.
They're always out back smoking
too-
cigarettes still. They're like, who does this? Like, can I get you more and coffee?
honey.
Person comes once a month and just bathrooms and kitchen.
Can't hide money over there.
But I've got to hear your thoughts on Helen Keller. I'm not saying that she's not a real person, but she couldn't be blind and deaf her whole life and somehow give speeches and even fly a plane. Probably
either.
mixing her up with Amelia
Amelia
Earhart.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right. Ay, I'm a little hot. I'm hot. Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday. Did I get that right?
You did.
Here at Gillette Stadium. And we'll be here until 2 o'clock talking Patriots. We've got the first full crew OTA that we witnessed yesterday. It was pretty good to be out there, seeing the whole team, minus a few people, which we'll get into.
Yep.
But it's Deuce, it's Tamara, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's myself. And like I said, we're here until 2 o'clock talking Patriots. Can't wait. So let's get right into it. Yesterday, we had the privilege of being at OTAs. What did you guys think?
I thought it was a lot of the veterans. I think a lot of the rookies were down the depth chart, and Evan's got plenty of. Sorry about my voice. I'm getting over a little cold here, so I got my sexy voice today. Yeah. But I think it was a lot of Jacoby Brissett and Bailey Zappi taking the majority of the reps, and I think that was a little, jarring.
Jarring?
Just like, come on, let's get the kid ready. Like, this kid's the future, and everything that, you see is, Drake May working with Baker and Polk after practice. I mean, I love these things. We saw him, mic'd out. If you haven't checked that out, it's great. You want to get as much as you can.
Right.
I'm trying to reserve judgment because it's the first practice.
You want that, but they had their rookie
Yep.
minicamp, and now the veterans are here.
Yeah, so it's like get in line, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, as the kids always say, like, they need to be a sponge and learn. I think he's trying to have them look and see how the vets do it, learn from that, and when you get your reps, then you know what you're doing.
Right.
Or at least that's the hope.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't care for it.
Too many QBs?
I'm gonna come out and say it. Didn't care for it.
What did you not care for?
Let's start with the quarterbacks, because this is true all up and down the roster. So I don't want to make it just about the quarterbacks, but that's obviously the biggest thing. I don't. You drafted two developmental quarterbacks, two guys that are very raw, and one guy at third overall who's the future of the franchise. Now is the time to get them reps, because when the Cincinnati Bengals are on the schedule for Week 1 and Jacoby Brissett is starting and Drake May is backing him up, they're not going to have time to get Drake May reps in practice. Those reps are going to have to go to Jacoby to get him ready to play on Sunday. Now is the time to get these developmental reps for these younger guys. And it's not necessarily just about Jacoby Brissett. I also just don't understand the whole Bailey Zappi of it as well. I don't know why Bailey Zappi is taking up reps in the spring from Drake May. That makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me at tackle why Vidarian Lowe is taking snaps from Caden Wallace when you're trying to develop this guy at a different position than what he played in college and have him flip sides and go over to the left side and do this whole thing. And this is what a lot of this hinges on, is these players being able to develop and the cream rising to the top. And they have Vidarian Lowe and Bailey Zappi taking reps from Drake May and Caden Wallace. Didn't care for it.
No.
Okay.
That's my opinion, though.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable. I mean,
I just love the strong take
there you go.
right out of the
Well,
right
I
out
just
of the
think
chute.
right now the big thing is about evaluating their process, because the results are not the most important thing right now. It's about evaluating the process, and I'm just taking in these first few practices of this regime and this era, wondering what's practice look like? What drills are you running? What periods are you doing? And a lot of what we saw yesterday was Drake May standing around. And I just don't see how's that helpful to anybody, that he's just watching Jacoby Brissett and Bailey Zappi take reps in 11-on-11s, and for 10 straight minutes of practice, he's just standing there.
Who knows? Maybe by next week, though, the rotation will change. After watching the vets for this week, because we saw them walking out there today, maybe after watching the vets for a week, seeing how they do it, next week when we watch practice again, maybe the order will be switched.
Could be.
And that's what, Gerard talked about is, don't get too wrapped up in the individual number because it's probably going to change.
Right.
And they're going to end up with the same. Now, I think Evan's point is he doesn't want it to be the same.
No.
He wants May to have more. Right, than Zappi.
Yeah, and I also would just say that the order isn't really what I'm caught up on either.
Right. There was too much standing around for May.
There's too much standing around. And you have 91, actually, because they have the exempt spot, 91 guys on the roster. Why aren't we splitting into 2 fields? We have 2 practice fields for a reason. So why aren't we bringing, quarterbacks over to this field?
Layer of context.
Quarterbacks over to that field. With Belichick, they would have these moments where they would try to create a game atmosphere where they'd have everybody on the sidelines and it was the 22 guys on the field and everybody else watching in training camp. I just don't feel like we're there yet.
Well, we're not at training camp.
Right. And so right now,
that's what he's saying. He doesn't want that.
Everything should just be about getting the young guys, and Drake May specifically, as many reps as possible because he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens after this week.
Yeah.
Also, it would be interesting to see, maybe they did it that way so that we wouldn't see anything. Who knows? Right now, Drake May could be getting more reps.
Right.
You never know.
Maybe
they only wanted us to see the 3
I just
reps
have
in
to
11 on 11.
I don't want to handle the new coaching staff with kid gloves all the time just because they're new. At some point we have to call out when you don't agree with things that they do, because we would have with Bill. Yeah. If Drake May was standing there for 30 minutes in a practice with Bill, we would be saying the same thing. If he wasn't such a raw prospect where there's so many mechanical and footwork and all this type of stuff that he needs to work on, now's the time to do it. So him standing around does nobody any good.
Yeah, well, to be fair, though, you're talking about kind of team periods. I mean, they had a large first part of the period where it's early down work, a lot of footwork stuff, a lot of, working on the wide zone and then coming off and, having to roll out with a, so there was a lot of drill work. I mean, just right. Am I right? That's kind of the context of it. I mean, they were all getting plenty of work, but it was just, team periods. It was Jacoby, Bailey, and then Drake May, and I don't even think Joe Milton got initial.
He got
reps
he got a couple of, if you want to call them competitive this time of year type of reps, but I just think that the biggest takeaway that I had from it all, and I don't mean to come out so hot with the whole reps and all that type of stuff.
Do not reel it in. This
is
great.
The biggest takeaway that I had coming out of it was it's a lot to have 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
It's a lot to get meaningful practice reps for 4 quarterbacks if you're really focused on making it equal and all that kind of stuff.
Especially when you don't have an established number 1.
Right.
We've had 4 quarterbacks for a lot of times.
Right, but this is not that situation.
But now we're trying to develop. So I get it.
And this is a little bit of a different 4 too. And there's a couple of things about this. One, I thought it was really interesting when Gerard was talking about the reps and all that stuff, and Tamara talked about how it could change. And Mayo did say that. He also kind of alluded to the fact that he doesn't think there'll be 4 at training camp.
Yeah.
And that might
which
be
I think is really interesting.
Who could it possibly be?
I'm just thinking,
Drake May?
Chess a little bit, but maybe Zappi's your backup, hoping that another team will say, they really like
I think
Zappi,
that's what
and
it
they
is.
can trade him and get something.
I mean, the most likely candidate to not make it to training camp would be Zappi.
Right.
And there's not really a close second.
Isn't he the only? Yeah, he's the only candidate.
But I wonder if he's looking at it, I think I talked about this last week. If you don't want May to play this year, easy. Okay, I'm with you. I want him to play. I want him to play this year. But if Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf do not want May to play this year, don't they have to get Zappi ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because if you need to have a backup quarterback who can play.
Right.
If you don't want to play May.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I think there's a dynamic there. Now without seeing it yesterday, full disclosure, another vacation day. I was not there, so I'm gonna trust with you guys. You guys both know I don't trust a lot of recaps that I hear and read from other people. I trust you guys. If he was standing around a lot, I do wonder, to what end?
Yeah.
You know,
I think too, it's just the rookies across the board, though. You know, it wasn't even just
yeah,
like,
no,
oh, but
like
that
he,
one
he
rookie
brought up
was in,
Caden
like,
Wallace. I would say
and
the
even,
same
you
thing
know,
about that.
And the same thing with Polk and Baker. Like, they weren't really prominently involved in the top offense. It was, you know, Pop Douglas and Juju and, you know, Thornton even. Those guys were kind of running with the top. So, I mean, I totally hear what Evan's saying. I'm just going to reserve worrying too much about it till next week. We start to see. Maybe we see some progress, and all of a sudden, Caden Wallace is maybe the top left tackle, or he's, you know, the second, or, you know, Drake May has leapfrogged Bailey Zappi, hopefully. But it's definitely something to watch for coming up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of you that it's one practice and we have to wait and see. It's not so much about getting all worked up about yesterday. It's more that they can't have 4 quarterbacks like this.
Yeah.
You can't have when I say they can't have 4 quarterbacks, if you're going to treat everybody equally, you can't have 4 quarterbacks.
Right.
Now, if you just want at some point Bailey Zappi is just kind of an afterthought, then that's a different story. But yesterday, it seemed like they were trying to create everything equal, and everybody was going to get some work in and all that kind of stuff. And to me, it kind of feels like you're getting no quarterbacks ready at that point.
Even last year, you know, you had Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi, then Trace McSorley, and Malik Cunningham really wasn't a quarterback all spring and summer. So, you know, even last year when you were really unsettled at the position, they didn't really feel like they could have 4 guys getting snaps because they didn't.
Yeah, not enough to go around.
Also, do you think they want to take it slow with Drake May in the sense of getting his mechanics in line first before you throw him out there and he's doing the same old mechanics that he was doing at UNC versus not redoing what he's doing, but like kind of fixing it before you throw him out there in a live drill?
I don't think that's crazy. I mean, it's, you know, definitely don't want him to just revert into old habits because he's under pressure. And so I think there might be some truth to that. But I still err on the side of it's this first time we've had all these guys out there on the field.
Yeah, I
and
think
they need to watch and see how it's
I think
done.
in football there's a certain, like, I don't know what you want to call it, but honor system or not
respect to the
respect to the veterans.
Yeah.
So this is the first day we're on the field.
Yeah.
These are the guys that are veterans. They're going to get the first reps, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Aren't we supposed to be over that?
No, not yet. No.
I think we are, though, because that was what he would do. That's what Bill would do. Bill would give.
No,
Darian
I think
Lowe
that's
the
what
reps.
every head coach does.
Yeah. And I think
I don't
you need
agree.
to watch
I don't
and
think if you
see.
go watch a training camp practice in Green Bay, who are known for playing the younger guys in their system, that they would be forcing a guy that's really a backup quarterback in the league like Bailey Zappi over Jordan Love. Like, I don't, you know, I'm not talking about Jordan Love now.
When he was first drafted.
Right, when he was
I know.
first
I
drafted.
disagree. I think that at least at the beginning, you know, the guys that have been on the team get the first reps, and then we start to change that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Tamara, what did you just start to say? Because I think I agree with you. Did you just say something about Jaden Daniels?
She's like, I love pepperoni pizza.
I thought you started to say something about, you know, like, is Jaden Daniels not getting the #1 reps right now?
Yeah.
Or Caleb, who's already been
I mean,
named
forget
the
about
starter.
Caleb Williams. They officially named him the starter. But, like, I feel like there's not, like, if you have a starter, like, you know, Jordan Love was back up to Aaron Rodgers. Like, that, no one would argue with that. But Jordan Love wouldn't be taking backup reps if the best quarterback that they had was, you know, whatever that was that guy's name? I
Flynn?
can't even think of his name now. Benkert or something like that. You know.
Oh, yeah.
Kurt Ben.
Oh,
Kurt.
Clifford.
Yeah.
Clifford from Penn State was the
him too.
backup last year.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Clifford was there longer, but he, you know, even though he wasn't there, you know my point.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you don't have an established starter, you can do whatever you want. I think Bill has done that a lot with offensive linemen. Like Dan Skipper will be manning the spot until he proves that he can't do it. Yadni Kajust has done it, you know. And then, you know, you let him play a couple days, then it's like, oh, okay, the rookie that we just drafted is definitely better than him. Let's move him in.
So what do you think? I have not looked at their Twitter, so I have no idea what's happening in Broncos land. But is Zach Wilson – I assume that Zach Wilson is getting the first rep, and then it's J.J. McCarthy and not vice versa.
Well, I don't know, but
Bo Nix,
he's new to the
Bo
team,
Nix,
you know, so –
my guess is actually Jarrett Stidham is probably getting the #1 reps.
True.
But that
So then
kind of proves the point. Like, when you don't have a guy.
Right, you go with the veteran.
Yeah. A little bit to the point. It's not exactly the same, but I noticed yesterday some of the top 11 reps, you had Marco Wilson and Alex Austin out at cornerback. So that was one of those situations where it's like, wait, where did Gonzalez and Jay Jones go? So that was one moment where it looked like a couple younger guys were getting in there, which I thought was interesting just defense-wise. Like, they need another cornerback. Also saw Isaiah Bolden in the slot a little bit, which is kind of interesting to me. Not really the body type you would think in there. I think we saw him outside all last year. But I just, looking at the cornerback class, not to get off topic, but it seems like they understand they have some questions there with the third corner and in the slot as to how that's all going to work out. And I think some of those guys are getting opportunities.
That I like.
Yeah.
Because we know what we have with Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones.
Yep.
Like those guys don't need to take reps in May. Like we'll see you week 1. Like right. With the quarterbacks, it's the same thing. Like we know what Bailey Zappi is, and what is like to this team. Bailey Zappi is not the present or the future. He's just kind of here. And so Jacoby Brissett, if you're giving him the reps, at least I can justify that by saying, well, he's going to be starting. So he's getting the starter reps. Yeah. If you give him to Drake May, that makes a lot more sense. You give him even to Joe Milton, that makes a lot more sense.
I think they're all they all need to learn the AVP system. So, I mean, they're all.
That's true.
Let's just give it some time.
Yeah.
I'm not jumping to any conclusions yet.
Yeah.
You know?
It's giving like new person hired, shadow this person for a few days, and then it's yours. That's what it's.
I'd say another big takeaway was just Ramondre Stevenson, completely back in the mix and heavily involved in all aspects, kind of like you saw last summer where it was like, Jesus, this is all they got is Ramondre right now. Not to say that's the point I'm trying to make, but I just felt like, man, he's back. Looks like he's ready to go right now. So it's a really good sign for him. And even what's his face? I'm just blanking on his name. Gibson really involved too, really quick.
Yeah.
I mean, those two guys seem like, I don't know what happens after those two, but both those guys look pretty good.
Yeah, Antonio
Does
Gibson.
my mic sound weird?
No.
I sound okay?
I sound a little like I can. It sounds a little weird in my headphones.
Okay.
Not just you, like everybody.
Everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you
no,
getting
Antonio
emails?
Gibson, I would say, is somebody that was very heavily involved. And obviously, you'd expect him to be involved in the passing game, which he was, and got a lot of targets in some of the passing game work that they did, and looked the part. You know, this is one of those times of years where the guys like skill players like that should flash, a little bit of speed, a little bit of separation ability, and I thought that he looked good.
Yeah.
Who else stood
Well,
out?
let's talk about
We
first.
saw Hooper.
Who wasn't there?
too.
Yeah, so who wasn't there? Matt Judon, which they talked about and said, in the past he's been in and out. He's been in and out again, according to Mayo. Anthony Jennings, who a little bit of surprise there. I don't know. He just signed a contract. Felt like he would have been there. Tavai wasn't dressed, but he was there. Looks like he's rehabbing something. Uche not there. I think somebody told me he had like a sister graduation. Was that you?
Yeah. She just got her doctorate.
Yeah. So, but then Devon Gotcha, that's kind of an interesting one too. I think all our radars are up on him going into the last year of his deal. Without Lawrence Guy and him, two big pieces that have been kind of the core of your defensive line. So curious what's up there. Not much depth behind him, for sure. And of course, Cole Strange. The news came out today that it sounds like he's going to be out of commission for a while.
Yeah, substantial time.
I'm surprised that was news today.
Yeah. Ian Rappaport just coming out with a tweet.
He significantly injured himself on December 18th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate him being ready to go in spring OTAs.
Well, it sounds like he's not going to be ready to go to start the season.
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't be
think
surprised at all if he's PUP.
Yeah. They expected that based
No,
off of their actions.
And I just wonder if they should have shut him down when he first got hurt, 3 minutes after pads came on last summer. And then they were, he was trying to go, and then he was in and out of the lineup, and then it seemed like almost it finally just gave way. I had to look up the thing, though. It says to me, Chris Jones just absolutely pushed him back. I mean, his knee just buckled, so
he's good.
I wonder if he's got Chris Jones is good.
Good player.
I mean, to be honest, he probably was going to get beat out anyways.
I mean, it's good. It's a really interesting thing. I mean, I always just like those PUP guys, even if it is a guy like Cole Strange, where you just have 6 weeks in, you're going to get somebody back
reinforcement,
and some kind of reinforcement, but not that there's a lot to really trumpet there. But Nick Leverett was, Nick Leverett and City So were the top two.
See, that's
guards.
another example of what Fred's talking about. Really, you have a lot of options, but you take the veteran guy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you plug him in until he proves that Mafi is better than him, or Jake Andrews is better than him, or Layden Robinson is better than him.
Yep.
Whoever.
But even back to your high school days, wasn't that the way it was? The first days of practice, the seniors or whatever, the guys who've been on the team, and then eventually the freshman emerges, the guy that's going to beat out somebody. They always start out with the guys who know what they're doing.
It's a little different.
I'm all for that to an extent, and I hear what you're saying. But I think there's such a finite amount of practice time in the NFL nowadays, where there's just only so many reps, and the CBA
that we know about
is so crazy nowadays that they can only be out there for certain periods of time and all this kind of stuff. And at quarterback specifically, it's just a really difficult position to develop, and you need reps. You just need live football reps, even this time of year. And so, yes, I understand there's seniority, and I agree that that's how teams usually work. That the senior will get it. That's what happened to Drake May in high school. is that they had the upperclassmen throughout fall camp was starting over him, and then they got a couple weeks out to the season, and the coach was like, we're gonna go with Drake, but it just eventually they need to get these guys volume of reps. It's not just about order or anything like that.
Yeah, let's hope they do. Anything else? Any other notes that you took from yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, the things that are interesting to me, I don't know if they're interesting to anybody else, but I think Taki and Joe Giles Harris and Christian Ellis, those guys are, were around last year, but with all the departures of, Matthew Slater, obviously, but Cody Davis and Chris Board, they had some need, and so I think that kind of like Raekwon McMillan, those secondary linebacker group, those guys, especially Taki. I think Taki will be involved on the defense this year. It seems like he's more of an inside-outside guy that they kind of like. So a little bit more edge depth, but without Uche Jennings and Judon there, it kind of was glaring of, hopefully these guys don't get hurt, because after that it's just a drop-off. And, you see Keon White there a little bit. Enjoyed hearing from him yesterday. He seemed different. He seemed like a different guy, a lot more talkative. Just more personable. Wasn't just like staring you down like he was.
So he
like
was
Debo.
outside, you said?
Playing
a little bit. Yeah. Staying on the edge. Not a lot of. Taki was on the other side. Yeah, me too. I do think I saw him a little bit though down, like right defensive end, hand down kind of stuff too. But yeah, it's just that was kind of glaring to me. Of course, those guys are all three key players, but it's just again like there's not much depth there. And as soon as Judon gets hurt, or leaves, it changes things significantly on the defense.
Yeah, we should talk about the offensive line.
Yeah,
which right now, speaking to Chuksa Okorafor after practice was not what I would call
confidence inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. He flat out said it's going to be a transition period for him, and he said that in Pittsburgh he signed there, back there with the initial extension to play right tackle, and he was drafted as a right tackle, then played. So he didn't do any cross training. He didn't start he was training to be a right tackle in Pittsburgh all year round. So he talked about that he doesn't even really know if he can do it yet, and we won't see until the pads come on in July and August if he feels comfortable actually playing in the game on the left side. So that was worrisome. Then you have this whole Cole Strange of it all, and so they were Okorafor, City So at left guard, David Andrews, Leverett Onwenu was the line, and it was obviously not a live situation with pads, so I'm not going to grade them how they performed in the practice. But just in general, hearing from some of the guys afterwards, there's some uncertainty there.
It's a lot of work in progress.
Yeah. Also, speaking of podiums, Juju claims that he was at 60% last year.
Okay.
And
yeah.
Which is funny because he got so angry when Karen's article, like when Karen asked him about, allegedly your knee could explode at any second, and he pushed back on that so much last year to now come out this year and say, I never hit 100%. I was at 60%.
Yeah, who was at 100% last year? I mean, nobody is. But
Fred, you always are at 100%.
Yeah, and then now he says, like, after not doing anything off season, watching Bridgerton, like, I'm at 100% right now.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I don't know about you.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah. And then he's like,
I don't really care for Bridgerton, not gonna lie.
Walking away from the podium, then he's like, y'all got to see the locker room too. It's way better vibes.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
can we not?
Can we not?
Yeah.
Can we not?
Yeah.
I don't know about the Juju unleashed.
Players run the team.
Juju unleashed. Not what I'm looking for this year. But I thought Douglas looked pretty good though. I mean, he seems like he's picked up where he left off, and
what did you guys think of Taekwon?
Not doing it.
Nah,
I'm not taking the cheese.
No, and
does that mean he looked good yesterday?
He had one catch in
did.
team drills, which was probably the best downfield play of the day on a little post corner route, but not falling for it.
I thought I don't know if you remember this throw, Evan. This was a Paul throw. It was just like it was May on like a quick out to Baker, and he just gunned it. And I was like, that's the throw.
Yeah, there's
that's the throw.
Little backside pressure there too. Little blitz coming
Yeah.
off the right side. Seemed like they just wanted to test him with that a little bit, see how he reacted to it. Through a good zip.
It was. I like Baker though. I mean, he's the first practice I was kind of captured by Polk, just his professionalism. He just seems like it seems like he's comfortable, but there's some movement skills with Baker that I think are a little bit unique. And they were doing this drill where very simple warm up drill, not too much to read into, but it was two receivers at once and the coaches on the side in the middle, and they just were throwing little routes at warm ups, but it was just a comparison to see how these guys kind of move differently. And I remember seeing him go against Thornton, which you just see these long legs with Thornton, and it takes a while. And Baker's, he's got shiftiness. He's got some, horizontal agility, I think, that is interesting. And he also just, when he runs, he's accelerating. You kind of feel like it's not Pacheco, but that kind of feel to it of every step he takes, he feels like he's, accelerating off of that. So Baker kind of caught my eye a little bit yesterday, just with some of his movement skills. He had, a couple nice catches. I think he had a couple drops too, which a lot of guys. Polcab one too. I mean, it's it happens. But no, I just also feel like when we get to these things, it's people are trying to fill the narratives and are going off of the buzzwords that we've been talking about for years, and it's like
I think there's a lot of that.
Do you guys realize what we're watching? Like did you play sports? Do you know, like in the middle of May?
Oh, Mike went with it. Did you play sports?
Literally,
I'm like, this is great. I should
I'm
take
trying
more
to
days
imagine
off.
me, like,
you guys
doing-
come back spitting fire.
Me
This
like
is
playing
great.
spring hockey and then being like, dude's got a lot to work on.
Does this guy ever play?
It's literally giving like walkthrough with like a little bit more speed.
I said to Evan, because Evan was complaining. Someone
A
was like,
run-through.
the receivers look like they couldn't separate. And I was like, did he hear the part where the coaches were saying, let him catch it? Like, they're yelling, let him catch it right now. Like, we are not doing anything competitive right now.
And that's why I said process over results right now, because I'm not concerned about separation for receivers yet. Like, obviously, we know that that's a big picture concern that could be an issue for this team. But right now, that's not what I'm not grading anybody off of these practices of like their success or failure on plays. I just, to me right now, it's about the operation. Like, what's his coaching staff doing? What's Mayo doing? Where is he going? Where is his attention at? What's Alex Van Pelt's practice look like? Like, we've watched a Bill Belichick practice.
So to that point, in looking at the practice, how do you think it looked like from an organizational standpoint?
I don't. That's why I came out so hot with what I came out with. It's not about like reps and all that. It's just the efficiency of practice. It was always something that stood out with Bill Belichick.
Yep.
There was never a pause. Like, there was never like wasted time in a Bill Belichick practice. He always had people doing stuff, and it felt like in this practice, it got bogged down a little bit where there was just a lot of standing around for guys.
2 hours.
So now that is something, Fred, I'm going to be on your side with.
Yeah.
I can understand there being periods like that where it's not quite, sharp. Like not everything is ending when it's supposed to end. Like maybe Mike is running a drill and he's done, and Evan's drill needs 2 or 3 more reps before they're done. Whereas under Bill, that was almost like clockwork. Like everybody was always done at the same time. And that horn blew and everybody was off to the next place. Yeah. I had heard, again, wasn't there, I had heard that there was a period yesterday that at one point one of the coaches yelled over to Gerard saying, we're done. What do we do? On the surface, not great, but also at the same time, not like way unexpected. With a guy running his first real
with a lot of coaches
team,
and a
90 players, let's just call it 80 players on the field.
Right.
Yeah. He's never done it before. There's going to be some
and that's
sort of
where I'm
hiccups.
coming from. That's what I'm looking at right now. Is how is practice run? What are the drills that they're running? Because they're running different drills. Yep. They're doing different, like even positional drills. Obviously, 11 on 11 is 11 on 11, but I'm more talking about individuals and stuff like that. These are not the same drills that we've been watching for the last.
Sounds like my blog observations could have some fresh perspective.
It's definitely different. I mean, it's interesting just in a compare and contrast kind of. I mean, this is Bill Belichick's practice, the only practices I've ever watched.
Right.
So
Me too.
You don't have a lot to compare to, but I think it's a really good observation by Evan. Just the different. I don't know if it's a negative yet, but
it's not necessarily a negative. I just think that that was what always stood out to me with a Belichick practice. And when we go to joint practices, too, it was always what the players on the other teams would talk about. Like, dang, the Patriots are so
no
efficient.
wasted time.
And they are just, everything is, from planned and to the minute, to the second. And I think that that's something I was reading Bedard's observations, and he's covered some other coaching staffs and
Just ask him.
the West Coast teams and stuff like that. And one of the points that he made was that West Coast offensive coaches love reps. Like they will just force, like they just want their starting guys to get like as many reps as possible in a practice, which can lead to a lot of standing around for everybody else. And I think that that's something that they have to find a better balance with.
I think I've really enjoyed watching the quarterbacks just because you really see how they're building from the ground up. And, I mean, it's certainly a contrast from 2 years ago, But you can see the plan. And, I mean, so much work on footwork. And I don't think that that's directly related to Drake May, but I think it certainly helps that they're spending that much time on it. But it's interesting. It seems like Alex Van Pelt knows what he's looking for, has a plan, and, is trying to put that on place.
Yeah, that I definitely was a positive that I had is that – the bag drills and the stuff that they were doing with the quarterbacks and things like that. There's a purpose to it. There's a rhyme and reason to it. You can see the drills on game tape and, kind of projecting it to a game. There was, they were calling out like, you throw this target mid rep and trying to get the quarterbacks to have to sort of react on the spot to where they wanted them to throw the ball. So those drills I think were really good.
Yep. Yeah. All right. In terms of the quarterbacks, I did notice that little loop in Drake May's delivery.
So wait, what is it? I can't see it.
It's like sort of, waist high, not the shoulders.
No?
Like he loops the ball.
Oh,
so
all right.
So there's going to be a lot of like debates on what side of the fence you fall on some of these things. Some people don't care about the dip.
Yep.
Some people care about the dip. Like when I say people, I mean like quarterback coaches, like people that actually get paid to do this, right? Some people care if you have the little dip. Some people don't. The other thing that I noticed with him is the level or even shoulders when he throws the ball. Sometimes he'll tilt back a little bit when he throws the football. Some people that bothers them because it has an upward trajectory on the ball, right? It puts an upward trajectory on the ball. Other people don't really think it matters all that much. It's sort of just a feel thing and what you're comfortable with. I always go by Brady because he, to me, is the most mechanically sound quarterback of all time.
You can't get more flawless than that.
And he was an even shoulders guy. When he threw the ball, he was driving through the ball with even shoulders. He wasn't tilting backwards to generate velocity. I don't think Drake May needs to tilt backwards because I think he has the arm talent to just drive the football. So those are little things. The shoulder shrug, it didn't happen as much yesterday, I didn't feel like, as Ricky minicamp, so maybe there's improvement there. But these are all little things that they're either going to have to decide are important or not important when you start tweaking with everything. And that's going to be interesting to see where they go with all of it.
Is it funny that we never talked about a lot of this stuff with Mac? I mean, maybe I'm misremembering it, but like for a rookie quarterback, and obviously Drake May's got some footwork issues that people are talking about, little shoulder hitches.
Listen, as much as we get on Mac, other than like not having, a grade A arm, he was pretty mechanically sound.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to what you mentioned. I think you go out and watch these things and you have a preconceived notion and you evaluate the players based off of what you think of them going in. And Mac going in was considered the most NFL ready guy. He can do all these things and he can plug and play. So everybody's like, oh yeah, look at him standing in the pocket, throwing the ball in. Whereas Drake May is this project.
Right. Suddenly everyone's a footwork expert.
Who's got it? Yeah. Now everybody's focusing on footwork. Right. No one ever focused on Mac Jones's footwork. Yeah. He couldn't move, but but no one focused on it.
Right. Yeah. So why focus it?
Because he was mechanically sound, and he was. I agree with Fred. I think Mac Jones was, for the most part, pretty mechanically sound.
Yeah.
Fred, who was the quarterback who had the most noticeable shoulder tilt in his throwing?
Oh, for the Patriots?
No, in general.
I don't know.
Drew Brees.
Drew
Brees threw everything.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
That's
now.
a great example.
Trying to look over the line.
Right, that's a great example. He
was smaller and didn't have a cannon.
He just loft the ball, but it would be perfectly placed.
Right. So with Drake May, he shouldn't have to do that.
Right.
Drew Brees might have done that out of necessity.
I'm sure that he did.
And so those are little things that you just notice when you watch. He's got a longer windup. That's definitely true. That they're going to have to tighten up. And these little mechanical things, like it's finicky. If you start playing with all of it, then
don't unravel them.
Yeah, if it's a slow release, that's something that needs to be addressed. But that's to Evan's point. You have to put it on a sheet. These are the 10 things that we notice. We got to pick 5 of them that are really important. Because if you can't fix 10 things. I'm just using a number. I'm not saying that he's making him out to be a train wreck. He's got 10 things he needs to improve on. you got to figure out, can he do this and he'll be okay? But this one, you know, if you have a slow release, that can't be okay. That needs to get tightened up. That's gonna hurt him because the windows are so much smaller in the NFL. The time to get the ball there is so much quicker. You got to be quick.
Yeah.
Did you guys clock Brady's
I'm
mechanics
for
at
it.
all?
Up here.
Up here.
Carry it up here. Get ready to release.
Well,
Brady mechanically was
like,
really
did you ever
good
track
right
that?
away,
Like, was that something that hit you?
when
year
Evan
one,
talks
year
about
two,
that
before
statuette, like he had this thing that I think sort of developed after Tom Martinez was his original coach and he passed away, and I think he ended up going with Tom House, and I thought there was a noticeable change. You know, the whole, remember the towel underneath Fred?
Yeah.
You know, he would come around, and if you watch him throw, some of the clips that they would play in the Dynasty that just showed him, it was like, this is how you make a training video. It's like Tom Amansky's, baseball videos.
Right.
These were like perfect mechanics, and he would drive the ball. That I always said from the day he stepped on the field, his arm strength was far greater than it was ever given credit for coming out of college. No one ever talked about his arm strength once he was in the pros. But everybody was like, oh, kind of a questionable arm. No, he didn't. He didn't have a questionable arm the day he walked onto the field. His arm was NFL caliber. But the mechanics did change.
Yeah.
And I just think he was like perfectly balanced. I think he put a lot of effort into that. And it's probably with Alex, too. It's probably part of that transition to Alex. Midway through his career.
Not Barth? Oh,
No, just
not
make it
Guerrero.
up.
Not Francis. Not Francis.
I've been told we should say last names of people.
Yeah, we should. And actually, that's a
Who, Kyle?
That's a pet peeve for me.
Oh my god.
Who? Kyle?
Kyle who?
Well, listen, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go to practice. You know, yesterday was a beautiful day.
It was.
It wouldn't have been good for some cold Bud Light. You know why? Because it's easy to drink. It's easy to enjoy.
It is.
Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots.
Just so you guys know, I had you taken care
There
of.
you go.
on that.
There you go.
So if I was the Patriots, I'd serve the media beer while they're watching practice.
They're all
I mean,
drunk.
they're all happy.
They don't know what they're
Yeah.
watching anyway.
Yeah.
Get them drunk.
Yeah.
That would be tough to write afterwards.
So when's our next opportunity?
next Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Next
yeah.
Wednesday, and then I think the week after we have two.
Yeah, Monday, Friday, I believe.
Monday,
it
Thursday. Yeah.
Monday, Thursday.
Yeah, and then
okay.
mini camp. So we'll see them. We'll see them 3 more times
Did
before
they
mini
change
camp, and
those?
then
I thought it was like the 3rd and the 7th.
I don't know. I'd have to
But the
consult
team
my
is
notes.
out there.
Yes.
You know, so they're practicing. They have 3 practices this week,
Yeah,
and then 3 more next week, right?
they're putting the work in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather too.
Beautiful weather.
It's definitely giving training camp weather with 79 degrees outside. So.
Evan got a little color,
Yeah.
and his
Yeah.
his fiancee was not happy with his sun
Didn't
care
even,
protection.
didn't even put my bag down
No.
before I start getting yelled at.
So you got finger wagged for that too, huh? Wow.
No
Sorry.
protection.
Tough day for you.
No sunscreen.
No,
Nothing?
I honestly, it didn't feel
It
like
was sneaky hot.
type
No,
of
I
day.
know.
Feel tardy.
It didn't feel that tight. It was a little overcast and it wasn't that hot. And
It was weird because you'd
It-
be hot under the
Got
sun, and
to
then
Yes.
the clouds would
Yes.
come, and you'd be kind of cold, and then I
Yeah,
hate
it
this,
wasn't
it's the
that
worst.
warm
Yeah.
yesterday.
It
But
was
the sun
sneaky.
came out at like 1:30 and it stayed out for
Yeah.
a while. So you
That's when I
guys
started sweating.
no sunscreen out there.
No.
I didn't
Well,
have
that felt
any.
presumptuous
lesson.
because the weather's been so bad, and you're like, oh, do I
Exactly.
get cocky and put on sunblock right now? But no, tempted fate. But I'm okay. I think my lips a little.
Pretty good crowd yesterday in terms of media, I would say. Not huge, but
No, the usual.
Yeah.
The usual
The usual.
suspects.
yeah.
Yeah, everybody was there. They play music at different times too in practice.
I feel
I've
like they
noticed.
played music more.
Yeah, there's more music.
You know,
it's more
especially I
musical.
feel like
Need more cowbell.
I was a little bit surprised. I feel like if we were allowed to see rookie minicamp, I feel like it would have been silent, no music, focus.
Yeah.
But then we went out there, obviously with Gerard Mayo, and it's music.
Yeah.
It helps. I like it.
Yep. All right. So that was OTA first day that we had access to. We're started.
We're off and running.
Yeah, we're off and
Off and
running.
running.
Yep. Before you know it, training camp will be here, and then that's it.
Can I ask you, Evan, because we didn't watch again? What did you think of Jaheim Bell? Anything? I didn't really clock him at all. Like he just never really stood out to me.
Not much, and I would put him in the same category.
Yeah,
Like,
get him involved.
it's a lot of Henry and Hooper, and I get it. You know, those guys are going to play a lot during the season, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, we didn't get to see a lot of Jaheim.
There's always like one or two players you get to the end of practice and like, where was that guy? I didn't even clock him ever, but that's what happens in this
I do want to mention Judon. He wasn't there, and I'm not surprised he wasn't. I would imagine that he's looking for some money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm less worried about Judon than I'm more worried about Godshaw, to be honest. Because Judon, I think they'll figure something out with him, just based off of their actions with everybody else so far. Godshaw's getting paid what he's worth, and he's in a contract year, and I get that, but I don't necessarily look at him as Judon's grossly underpaid based off of his 2024 salary. Like, he's not going to play for $7.5 million.
Right.
But Godshaw's making his going rate, I would say.
Well, you never know. He might have had something to do in South Beach.
But I also say, like, he put his money where his mouth was last year. Like, our run defense was significantly better. So I'm like,
no, I'm not saying he's a bad player. It's just that his skill set he's getting paid at the top of the market of his skill set. So I don't know how much more money they would necessarily be giving him.
Godshaw, you mean?
Yeah.
Now, with Judon, is it better business for the Patriots if they wanted to trade him to not sign him so that the other team has free reign to kind of renegotiate his deal, or is it better to kind of extend him and then trade him?
Well, I'd probably say the first one.
First one?
You got a little more freedom, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you're not
maybe
tied to the
it's probably easier to acquire him too, based on what he's making.
So maybe the Patriots are, slow playing any talks with him, just to see if they can move him.
It's just a tough spot because you don't really have one of those guys in the pipeline. You haven't developed one in a long time. You had to go sign Judon to get that guy, and it's such a we spent all offseason talking about wide receiver, left tackle, quarterback. Like, this is that side of the ball. Like, you need a 3-down guy that makes an impact.
That's why I was interested in you guys talking about Keon White a little bit, and that he was outside. I would have thought for sure he would be definitely
like Lawrence Guy.
At most like a Dietrich Wise kind of like hand down, but even
I still think that's where he's best
as a pure defensive tackle even. But if they think he's more suited to
he's a
standing up, then at some point, like, you want to be a draft and develop team.
Yeah.
That's a guy you drafted, and if you're going to develop him rather than sink a lot of money. And I'm not suggesting getting rid of Judon. I'm just saying I could understand if that was their thought process. We're not going to put more money into that.
Right.
We're going to have this guy develop and eventually take his place. I could understand that line of thought.
I am a little bit worried about it with Keon White. I don't think he has a real natural position.
I'm not sure exactly what he does. I think he has skill. I'm just not sure what he does.
I think
best.
He's a 4-3 end.
Yeah.
And they did hint at maybe being a little bit more 4-man front moving forward with Covington. A 3-4 defensive end is like Lawrence Guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking about 310, even more, in terms of weight.
Ty Warren.
You're not going to play 3-4 defensive end in a 2-gapping system at 285. You're going to get run over.
Yep.
When's the last time the Patriots really played a true 3-4?
Oh, they
last handful of
time
years.
to time.
Yeah.
I think I always look at that as when we can't stop the run right now. We're just going base 3-4. What we learned in these days back in May. I remember, I think it was Denver, maybe like 2015, I think, after they lost Hightower, and it was like all of a sudden they just went pure 3-4 because they couldn't stop the run. But I agree with Evan, and I just think the problem, though, is as a 4-3 defensive end, he doesn't really have the get off or the speed to threaten the edge. So he's a powerful guy, and I think he's kind of nimble, like surprisingly nimble.
Yeah.
But he's a power guy. He's not a speed rusher, and I think they're missing that
I would
element.
look at him as one of those edge guys more like Jennings than Judon.
Yep. 100%.
I just worry
he can set the edge and do
but
those
it's what
things.
Jennings did in college, and so but it's like Keon White's similarly kind of.
If he's standing up, I think he's too heavy.
Yeah.
Like I don't think
That's
he's
my fear.
light enough on his feet. And to your point, I don't think he has that first step to turn the corner from outside the tackle. But if he's inside and he's reduced inside, then I think he's too light.
Yeah.
So he's like this tweener of like, where are you going to put him? They've been a beast 3-4 team for the last handful of years. They have their pass rush fronts, on third downs and things like that are just kind of their own thing. But when it comes to 1st and 10 at the 25 to start the game, their mechanics are 3-4. That's how they run the system. And I don't know where he plays in that type of defense.
Especially when it's just 2 defensive linemen, when you had Godshaw and Guy in the middle, and then you maybe had 4 stand-up kind of guys, and it's hard even there to figure out where.
But do they have that true nose tackle? That zero technique guy, or
not really?
Godshaw.
I mean,
You
yeah,
think he's the guy?
Godshaw's always in the inside. Now,
Yeah.
if he's truly like the Vince, I don't know. I leave that to Ev, but I think of him more as that nose tackle kind of guy.
But even 2
With
years ago,
Wise
they had
and Guy on the
Carl
outside.
Davis
Wise
too,
guy.
though. Who Carl Davis was really?
Oh yeah,
he was a pure nose.
He was one of those.
He was a pure nose, but they don't have a backup, and Lawrence Guy's gone too. So, I just Tamara brought up the run defense. That's talk about whack-a-mole. That could be a thing where. Godshaw's unhappy, Lawrence Guy's not back, and all of a sudden we're kind of having some trouble against the run. Those are problems I think you got to be aware of. And yeah, it's just I know we don't get to the 2025 draft, but like
sneaky negative.
Big defense here. I think they're going to need it.
Especially defensive line.
Yeah.
One of those, how we talked about the receivers this year, tackles, like that's how we were going to talk about the defensive line.
I can't wait. It's Deuce's time to shine.
All right.
Evan's going to be. I'm not even doing the draft this year.
I'm out.
Come out, I'm just giving you the SMH.
855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. 855-PATS-500. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Let's hit the phones. Curtis in St. Louis has been holding on. What's up, Curtis?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, Curtis.
Just wanted to say first, you guys are great, awesome. Always listen to you guys, and Tamara too. Of course, I know I said guys. Sorry. But anyway, sorry. First, I just wanted to say I love the schedule was released. That was awesome.
Thanks.
Matter of fact, my wife had never seen the movie, so I was like, well, we got to go watch that now. So it was actually a good inspiration for a date night.
Great.
So that was awesome. And then I know you guys kind of touched on it a little bit with the receivers. And I know we're early here at the end of May, in OTAs. But, what do you think that receiver core will look like when we get down to the 53? Do you think we'll have 6 receivers? I know Juju's talking about being at 100% now. I feel like maybe there's, 3 or 4 that we can kind of say might be locked in. But, do we have that 5th or possibly even 6th receiver?
Well, I think. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that the 2 draft picks are locked in, and I think probably Douglas and Bourne are locked in.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Whether Bourne starts off the season or not, I feel like he's probably locked in as well. But yeah, I was just curious if we did keep that 5th or 6th guy, possibly, who they might be, maybe. And then just again speculation, but who you think might lead the receiving core this year, say in receptions or yards on the field?
Who's going to lead the receiving core? All right, thanks, Curtis.
Some big leaps.
Seems like a fantasy football question.
I feel like I have the least amount of feel for that position.
Yeah.
Out of, maybe than any of them.
I mean, I know Douglas will be in the slot and he'll be pretty good. That's where I think my
I don't even
my
know
confidence.
I don't know that either.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that whole group.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be primarily a slot guy.
Huh?
Oh,
Pop.
if he plays, it's going to be in the slot.
I think he's going to be all over the place.
What?
Yeah, he's not big enough for the outside.
I was saying not for the outside.
No.
He's so small.
Yeah,
but I mean, I think Osborne could be a part of that
Yeah.
mix. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
I could see a scenario
There's
that
a lot of
Osborne
slot
is your
receivers.
leading receiver, and I
Yep.
could see a scenario where he's one of those free agent signings that doesn't make the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
little I have a feel on that
I
position.
think that just
Yep.
speaks to just the talent level of that position, and they
Yeah.
have a lot of bodies, but I don't know if they have a lot of players. They have 11 guys on the team, but I think when watching it yesterday, you're kind of just like, KJ Osborne's another one of those just a guy. Like he's just he's not going to be anything that's going to move the needle. I just think the biggest thing with the receivers is Kendrick Bourne's health. If he starts the year on IR or PUP or something like that because of the knee, then it opens up a spot for a Juju, a Tyquan Thornton, one of those guys to just by default,
great point.
basically just make the team. And I think there's a new rule now that you can be on IR before the cut down and come back in season. So it's no longer that you have to make the 53-man roster to come back.
So they've eliminated that, which is a good move. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they had made that alteration. That's a good.
I think
that's
it's
a good
2
change.
spots, if I'm not mistaken, that they can do that way. So like Strange and Bourne could be
Right.
that instead of PUP
I
type of thing.
just don't see a world where Juju and Tyquan are on this roster.
I mean,
keep saying this every week, but
See, I can.
I just want to see him.
But I don't. I'm not telling you they will be.
Yeah.
Like I could see, like I said, I could see a world where Bourne's not ready to go at the start of the season, and Osborne is your leading receiver.
Yep.
I could see Osborne just like, you know what, it's just not working with this guy, and we're gonna give Thornton a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like what's the difference?
Yeah.
How many
You
are
know,
we, how
I
many
don't
are we
know.
keeping? 6?
5 or 6.
I would say 5 or 6. yeah.
So
But usually 5 and 6 need to play some special.
But I don't
teams.
think that, and
So-
I don't think any of those guys are locks. I just
No.
Rager, I guess, because of special teams, so I'm just gonna count him.
he
KJ,
out.
KJ, Pop, Polk, Baker. Who am I forgetting?
Butte.
Add him to my list from earlier.
Depends on if
Bourne.
Kendrick is healthy.
Bourne.
Yeah.
Thornton. I just want to see him. To your point, Paul, I just want to see these guys play. What is
Yeah.
what does
I could
Juju at
see-
100% look
I
like?
could see Tamara being
What is-
6 for 6. I
yeah,
could see her being
right.
like 3 for 6.
What does
like,
really?
really?
Taekwon Thornton at 190 pounds look like? You know,
Yeah.
like these things. Like
I do think it's also important to remember that the way that they're going to be early down on offense, I know everybody hates to hear this, but the receivers are going to have to be able to run block. Like you're not going to throw their base receivers are not going to be Pop Douglas and Taekwon Thornton. That's just not going to work.
But it could be Juju.
Right.
Yeah.
For that.
Juju's a bigger, thicker guy that can block a little bit. KJ Osborne, I think, fits that mold.
Polk?
That's why with Pop, I don't know where he fits ideally in this offense on early downs because you have to have a little bit more size. You have to have a little bit more girth to you to be able to play in this system. So that's why you see a lot of the Niners, the Browns, the Rams, Puka and Cooper Kupp and like some of these bigger guys at receiver because of that reason. So I don't know where that goes, but from a body type perspective, like Juju does fit a lot of what they're gonna probably do on first and second down.
Taekwon does not.
And he's
fit
100% now. I don't know why you guys are all making faces.
Taekwon doesn't fit
vibes
that.
Taekwon does not fit that.
No,
still.
but he does fit the we want to take the top off the defense aspect of this.
That's fine. But I need you to catch the ball.
yeah.
Of course,
And
but
not
it,
get
And
The
and
4 I
not
would
get
feel the
hurt.
best about are the 2 rookies, and then Bourne and Douglas. Like I would, I think Osborne probably fits into there too.
Yeah.
But again,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what to think. And even with Douglas, like let's just say for argument's sake, you hit on the 2 rookies. Do you need Douglas? How I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. I think he's just got a. He's one of the only guys that actually has some like athleticism.
Yeah, I
in
would
the
be
group.
surprised if he was not a part of the offense.
Yeah.
I would absolutely be surprised. But I have no real feel for how they're going to do and I think they'll be 6. But I don't really have a great feel of which 6 they'll be.
Do you think it feeds into what guys the quarterbacks like and what guys they just kind of have some chemistry with? and
To
kinda make
Evan's
some of the
point,
difference?
if you're running an offense that's a little different than what you had, maybe there's a guy who really fits that offense better than someone else. I don't know what the answer
And
to
also,
that is.
and also
Taekwon
to Eric's
Thornton.
point,
Evan.
with all these receivers, you need the reps to see who
yeah, right.
has chemistry.
Yeah.
So
I do wonder about Thornton just because, I mean, it was so clear what he was when they drafted him, and then like 90% of the time when he was getting hurt, they're like sending him into the line. He's like trying to block guys. Like it was just, so maybe there is a word. Like, and I keep
he
like
gets hurt hitting the ground all the time. He didn't get hurt blocking.
right.
He literally said that last week.
Yes.
That
He
to
made
learn
a
how to
diving
fly.
catch with
Yeah.
you guys in Green Bay,
Yep.
and he hurt
I
his
missed it,
shoulder.
yeah.
And he made a play, I think, in the Carolina preseason game when his rookie year and did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He does from a stylistic standpoint. In this offense, you're going to be running a lot of foot races across the field. It's going to be bootleg, and then it's going to be crossing routes and deep overs and posts and things like that. And in theory, he made a catch yesterday on one of them like that. The speed receiver, it does fit. Now I'm not falling for it again. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling
Not
you that
falling
right
for
now.
the banana tailpipe.
I feel like either he dropped the ball, he wasn't running the right route, or when they had him in there as a decoy, he wasn't running fast that you would actually believe that he wasn't getting the ball.
I
the
agree with
like-
that.
The route running conversions shouldn't be as much of an issue anymore. Like
Less thinking.
there's gonna be less of that.
You go there.
Yeah.
Reno's in Tennessee. What's up, Reno?
Take a ride at the Chevy.
Reno.
Reno Hightower?
No, Reno's gone.
Oh wait, speaking of Hightower, he looked like he could suit up and play.
All right, I'm gonna disagree with that. His legs look like his upper body has shrunk, but his legs are still just
Really? He got smaller.
Well, just he's not as thick up top. You guys know me. I'm an
Well, he's
expert
not,
on
he's
these.
not in the program.
Getting hot and bothered over there.
Certainly is.
His calves are knotted up.
Let's go to Connor in Florida. What's up, Connor?
What's happening?
Connor in Florida.
This is why.
Going
Connor.
once.
And this is
Connor.
why
I
they
feel like
make
I
fun of
literally
us.
just heard him say something.
Connor? No? Okay. All right, forget it.
Screw you guys, I'm out.
Yeah.
Not skipping leg day though, huh?
No,
Dante?
no. I think that's genes though. He's lucky man. Not all of us were blessed with knotted calves, Paul. You know, you get the implants. You get the calf implants.
Are we sure he's okay?
I give him a chance to like walk it back, and he
I double down. I double down.
Oh my God.
Let's go to Francisco in North Carolina, who writes in. Big fan from North Carolina. Coming up for Tom's Hall of Fame induction. Was
All right.
wondering what some other things to do in the area.
Well,
Yeah.
Do you like ice cream?
I mean, if you're going to Boston,
do you like going 45 minutes north or south?
Yeah.
You can find stuff to do.
Well, I gotta hype up my town. Go to Crescent Ridge and Sharon, or
Overrated.
No, it is a little bit, but
Wow, Fred.
you're not gonna get a better deal on ice cream anywhere. Like I'm telling you right now, I love ice cream, and I go kitty like that. Like forget the small and large in the world. That's too much. They got great portions there.
So
it's
this person's
affordable.
looking for something to do, and
You're sending him to an ice cream place.
you're getting him an ice cream
Well, it's
cone.
beautiful.
And then he's
It's
going to
on
send him to a pizza
farm.
place. Give the pizza place
Pizza
too.
place.
Yeah.
Well,
feel like-
sounds fine.
Yeah.
I feel like the thing to do, if they're here, is to go to a Celtics game.
Oh well, that's hard.
Well,
If
if
you-
they're
if you-
playing.
Oh
Can.
yeah.
If you can't,
If
I
you
mean,
can get tickets to the NBA Finals, that'll be going on the same night as Brady night.
Yeah.
And, good luck.
Yeah, that'll be game 3,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So.
Be in Minnesota. So.
Oh.
We'll be in
Aw.
Minnesota or Dallas.
No, go to Boston. Go on a tour. You know, walk the Freedom
I
Trail.
would definitely, if you're coming here, like
Yeah.
just bite the bullet and stay in Boston and do all your fun stuff in Boston, and then find a way out.
Well,
here
you got to go to the
Foxborough.
Hall of Fame.
Gotta
too.
go Hall of Fame, Patriot Place, get
Yeah.
a Bud Light,
Yeah.
get some Dunkin', drive a Toyota. Just do it all.
Dell's Lemonade.
That's how it's done right there, Fred. That was a master class. You could learn from Deuce.
Norman in Daytona Beach writes in, wouldn't be too concerned about Drake not getting as many reps as the veterans after hearing about how much his footwork needs so much improvement. Is it possible that they're working more on that aspect, getting him more comfortable with what he needs to do to correct the problem, rather than putting him out there and falling back into his old bad footwork habits? Or am I way off base? I'm really trying to be positive about the new regime.
I just wouldn't get carried away with these things. Like I think that these are mechanical things that any young quarterback, especially one who's 21 years old and only played 3 years of college football, they might possibly have. So I think that these are starting to be, what is it, like now they're leading the cart, like now the cart's leading the horses kind of thing, where it's like this kid is still really promising. He does have some things to work out with, but I don't think that to me coming out is like, oh man, his feet are messed. I mean,
If he can't take a rep in practice because his footwork is an issue, then we have big problems. Like we're not
It's
talking
not like
about
that.
throwing him out there against the Bengals in Week 1.
Right.
Talking about practice.
I would just argue that if his footwork is that big of a deal, how's it supposed to get fixed standing around watching?
Yeah.
yeah. But
Like you fix it by giving him reps and
Right.
correcting it on film when you have a rep.
And we've
Right.
seen 2 practices. How much time have they put in on footwork and like drop backs?
A
And
lot.
I mean, it's a lot.
lot.
Yeah,
So
I
they're
love
all
that
getting
part
that
of
Yeah,
work.
and that's why I agree with the very first thing you said. You know, I'm not going to get too carried away with all this
Yeah.
stuff.
Speed
I will. I'll do
Fresno
that
with
for
some
you.
rapid fire, quick answer questions.
Okay.
Oh,
Ready?
gosh.
Rapid fire, quick answer questions.
More likely Gonzalez goes on IR week 1 or stays healthy the entire season.
Stays
Why
healthy.
would he be
the
on
en-
IR
stays
week
healthy the
1?
entire
That's
season.
just an either
More
or.
likely IR week 1.
Yeah.
Well, I
Or
got to
stays
go.
Or
Stay
stays
healthy.
healthy.
I got to
the
go.
entire-
Stays healthy the
Stays
entire
healthy.
season.
I
Week
gotta
one's
go
it.
stay healthy.
That's like the field.
Yeah.
More likely the Patriots' first win is week 1 at the Bengals or week 7 in Wembley versus the Jags.
7.
7.
Yeah, probably
Probably
7.
more likely, but I don't rule out them giving the Bengals a game.
They're going to
No.
beat them.
No.
I
Oh,
wouldn't
wow.
go that far.
Joe
Wait.
Burrow's
I don't
rusty.
rule
Do you
Wait.
see Joe Burrow's
Yeah.
new haircut too?
It's a good time
I'm
to play
writing
the
this
Bengals.
down.
It's no good.
Go ahead.
I'm writing this down.
Go ahead.
I'm going to let you write.
What's today's date?
Tamara, if you want to write
21st.
it down right now,
Uh-huh.
Fred will be picking against the Bengals all 17 weeks. I will promise you that. It's been that way for the last 4 years.
Yeah,
ish,
at least,
5, maybe
yeah.
5.
More likely May's first start comes after the bye or in 2025.
The bye.
Yeah.
Last 4.
After the bye, I would say.
I'm here to tell you, here's another bold prediction.
I love
There's
Okay.
no way that we don't see Drake May start a game this year.
I agree
There's
with
no
that.
way.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
I agree.
I think there's a way.
Okay, I wrote this down.
Well, obviously there's a way, but
I'm with you.
No, I'm just
just for take purposes.
If they're really hell bent on not playing him, like there's nothing.
Yeah, and
you
I
can
don't think
do.
they are.
Okay,
I don't think
hope
they
I
are.
hope you're right.
Me too.
More likely May's. I just said that. Yes or no? If the Brissett-led Patriots start 1-4, does May start Week 6 against the Texans?
Not if he's not ready.
No, not necessarily. No.
No.
Yes or no? The Patriots' record earns them a top 5 pick next year.
I'm going to say no, but not much lower than that.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
Ooh, really?
Okay.
I'm gonna say no. I think they're gonna pick 8th.
Yeah.
All
You
right.
can mark me down on that
7,
one.
yeah.
8th.
That's still pretty
Lost
good.
the strength
you can get a
strength
good
of
pick with
schedule
that.
tiebreakers.
Yeah. Just some maybe some better
7th.
luck in
Put
some
me at 7th.
situations. 8th.
Over under number of times during the season Mayo publicly refers to Kraft as Thunder. Hashtag cringe. 3.5.
0.
0.
It's been
Zero.
retired.
I think it's done.
Yeah.
Over.
And last one, more likely Evan mows a lawn at some point in his life, or that Eric still watches American football. Well, that's a tough one.
Mo Lana's gonna be tough because we might be city people for.
Yeah,
a
I'm
long
gonna
time,
go with
so.
Eric watching
Eric.
American football.
I don't know.
I like the way
I
you
don't
put
have a
that.
lawn to mow right now. So.
I can't see Evan ever mowing a lawn if he hasn't done it at this point.
You might
fair.
buy a
Well, it's
house
not something.
someday
It's not
and-
something you pick up in your mid-30s.
I want it for him though. It might be if he buys a house and they have it, you
Yeah.
know. And
Pay
he's
somebody.
Like, no, you
I
got to
don't
do
have
it
my
yourself.
parents' money. I can't.
You got to
pay
know.
anybody.
Yeah, you got to
Jess
know
does.
the satisfaction of.
Jess might.
Well, 'tis the season for mowing lawns, and Memorial Day weekend means the summer is upon us. And you can dress your home to the nines with the Summer of 999 from Bob's Discount Furniture. I mean, $999. Shop tons of trending styles for every room, like Bob's best-selling mattresses, super relaxing reclining sofas, barbecue-ready dining sets, and warm weather outdoor styles, all for $999 or less. So stop in and stock up for summer at Bob's Discount Furniture, the official furniture store of the New England Patriots. Paul's Foods here, just got here, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. If you want to see Toyota's best offers and have a first look at that, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go to the DraftKings commercial. Whether you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer. Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
I got some good weather. All right. I'm doing well. How are you guys? I'm excited. First day OTAs. Guys seem ready to go. Really dialed in the meeting rooms, and we'll see. Now it's time to apply it to the field, so excited.
Specific to the quarterbacks, what are you looking to see from them in this setting?
Well, it depends what quarterback you're talking about. I would say from a holistic standpoint, it's just about progress. Look, today, it won't be perfect, and I don't expect it to be perfect, but you want to make sure you see these guys going in the right direction from an execution standpoint.
As you guys built this offense, this playbook, is this sort of Alex Van Pelt's offense? Is this an offense for your two quarterbacks? Is this an offense for Jacob?
No, I mean, look, all these quarterbacks have a similar skill set. It's an AVP offense, and once again, sometimes I think we read too much into that stuff, especially when you're talking about early downs, which is really the primary focus this week is early downs and not third down. Now, once you get to third down, it's a little bit more exotic, and you can say, oh, this is a Alex Van Pelt offense or whoever you want to use.
You mentioned early down, when you guys get the team periods today, is that the focus here?
Yeah, once we get the team, it's all early downs. And once again, look, we're going to go out here and compete, but at the same time be smart. Our number one goal has to be to get out of the spring healthy. Hopefully we've built a sense of camaraderie amongst our teammates and coaches and, really getting a fundamental understanding of how we want to play.
4 quarterbacks, what's the plan when it comes to splitting up the reps for
You'll see today. You'll see today. But honestly, look, all these guys will get an opportunity. It's really not about how many reps here and there. It's about the quality of those reps that you get. And that's what I preach.
How do you view the
Drake May?
Say it again, sir.
What progress did you see out of Drake May during rookie minicamp?
Yeah, I thought Drake did a great job, not only, progressing on the field, but also off the field. You can already tell, he's going to put in that extra work. I walk by the quarterback meeting room. He's just in there by himself watching film. And those are the things that you want to see, and excited to see his growth going forward.
How do you view the competition in the wide receiver room?
It's a wide open competition. We have some young bulls, we have some older players, we have guys who are really unproven. So this is an opportunity for them to really get a leg up going forward, especially when you don't have a guy like Bourne out here during the spring. Guys will have opportunities.
Juju had a tough year last year and there's some physical issues. What have you seen from him so far, and there's a challenge. That room is pretty crowded.
Yeah, the room is definitely crowded. He looks good. He's moving around well. Look, we'll see today when they're actually going against someone else, but it looks good, and it's the question for the end of the spring, honestly.
Judon, a lot of the focus has been on, Drake and Jacoby, and even Joe a little bit. One person we haven't talked about a lot is Bailey Zappi. What have you seen from him this offseason, and how has he improved in your eyes?
Honestly, I think about Zapp as a true professional. We drafted 2 quarterbacks. Obviously, he's going to be competing with those guys, but at the same time, he's an open book. He is a resource. He has started games in this league, and that's more than the other 2 quarterbacks can say.
Going to Kendrick for a second, you mentioned not having him in the spring. What's the timeline for him to have him on the field?
Honestly, it's a week-by-week type of thing. We hope to get him out here. Well, he won't be out here during the spring, I can tell you that. Okay. So we'll see going forward. That's more information than you normally would get, right?
Still getting used to it.
Is there anyone else that we're not expecting to see during the spring because of injuries?
There are a few guys. A few guys still working through some things. We had our off-season surgeries and things like that. So you'll see them. You'll see out here in a second.
Practices. Are you happy with the attendance?
The attendance is great. The attendance is great. A handful of guys that aren't here. At the same time, those guys that aren't here are true professionals, and they know what they have to do to get back and be in shape and ready to go.
Is Matt Judon expected to be here, Judon?
He's not here today. I'll say he's not here today. He has been in and out. At the same time, look, he's one of those guys. Historically, he's been in and out, so not really a big story there.
Do you guys have a rough timeline when it comes to culture? I know medical things.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. He's another guy, normally we say, day by day. He's more of a, let's say, week by week, or you want to go month by month if you want to. But he's working hard. He's doing his rehab. He's here every day. He's in the meeting room, so I'm happy where he is.
Are the rep distribution, the rep that we see with the quarterbacks, is that what will probably be happening when we're not here?
No, that won't be indicative of what we do. I think it's a day-by-day thing. You try to keep all those guys around the same rep count, but at the same time, in any given day, this guy could get 30 reps, another guy could get 5, but then as we work through the week, it'll kind of flip.
Gerard, when it comes to Drake's development, do you guys look at it as in phases? How do you kind of structure what what he can absorb and stuff?
Yeah, there are definitely things, look, he's learning a new playbook, he's learning a new language, he's learning his teammates, he's learning, fundamentals that we preach here. So it's a lot for him. At the same time, I think I know he can handle it, and I just look forward to seeing him progress.
What has the players' response been to having Matthew Slater back? And I know we kind of talked about what it means to you to have him back, but what have you noticed from the players?
Yeah, the thing about Slate, he can wear so many different hats. He can, he can help as far as technique and coaching is concerned on special teams. He's always been a spiritual leader in our locker room as well, and then once again, just a confidant, not only to me, but also to the players. And he knows 100% I will never, put him in a position where he's kind of, losing the trust of the players. I want the players to be able to talk to him, knowing that it won't get back to me. He understands that as well.
Gerard, you spoke to Bert Breer, first story that came out today in reference to the plan for the quarterbacks is to have it 4 down to 3, so you understand how to split up the reps for training camp. What would that 4th quarterback then be doing? We'll see.
Once we get to training camp, that's real football. So out here in the spring, we'll rock with 4. But as soon as we get to training camp, now you have to start paring down the roster.
On the two rookie quarterbacks, Gerard, what do you like about the way they sort of work together? Are you noticing anything just pairing them?
Yeah, they've had a history before. Those guys have, the quarterback trek together. And I would also say, Drake, he knows Jacoby. He knew Jacoby before he even got here. So those guys are working well together. And, the rookies have that extra hour as well. So they're accountability partners both on and off the field.
Coach, one of the guys on the staff, two guys in particular, local guys, Kobe Tippett and Vinny DePalma. What did you see from them, and just why'd you want them on your staff?
Yeah, they're hard workers, and I think that first and foremost has to be something that we focus on, is having guys, grinders is what we call it, guys that really they're here at 6 o'clock in the morning and they leave when work is done. They've done a great job for us.
Just having so many coaches on the staff, what went into that as well?
Yeah, the thing about it, that's an interesting dynamic or interesting conversation, so many coaches on the staff. What I will say, historically, we've always had a small staff, and so now it feels like a lot more coaches out here, but really that brings us back up to par, realistically.
Gerard, when you were a rookie, you were obviously a high draft pick, and you kind of came into a leadership role pretty quickly. I'm just curious with Drake, the position he plays, obviously a leadership position, how does he strike the balance between fitting in as a young guy with a lot of veterans around him, but also trying to eventually become a leader here?
Honestly, that narrative of me coming in as a leader my first year is kind of off, in my opinion. My big thing was, be a sponge. Learn from the Mike Vrabels, the Tom Bradys, the Randy Mosses of the world. And really, my leadership happened by those guys throwing me in the room with Bill asking for no pads. And so they knew I really cared about the team more than I cared about myself, because I said, Coach, the guys are tired, they don't want to be in pads. 80% of the time, Coach was like, get back in the locker room. But the 2 times that he would say, you're right, you're probably right, I was a hero in there. And that's where my leadership development really took off my first year.
Are you looking for leadership traits from him out here, or are you just looking for those sponge qualities?
I think you hit it on the head. You want to have a quarterback that has those leadership traits if you want to go, become the team that you want to be. It's a guy who touches the ball every single play. So, and I will say this, you can develop leadership. Some people have that natural leadership, but I do think it's a muscle that you can develop.
Coach, we talk a lot about the rookies at this time of the year, but from second and third year players, what are some big jumps that you'd like to see from them at this point in the season?
Yeah, there's no other point in their careers where they can make a massive jump like they can going from year 1 to year 2. You look at the linemen that we have going into year 2, we're leaning on those guys to really make those jumps, and they have to really understand that and put in the extra work. And once again, they have to, really, don't worry about last year. Now you understand what we're trying to do from a scheduling standpoint, from what you got to do to go out there and play. And so we're looking for those guys to make a huge jump.
And now, great moments in history.
I think it's a balancing act. And I think building a team, you don't want to get too young. You want to still have some veteran presence. But, excuse me.
Did you hear that?
I also don't think you can just turn it all over to.
We haven't even eaten yet, Fred.
Wow.
What are they doing?
Matt's going to take care of business.
I like when Matt
going to lay it, smack it down.
Why does his marine muscles ties a bandana first for some reason? What is
Rambo?
Got a survival first knife blood. And I'm like, what is going on, Matt? Look out.
Murdoch.
But
I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, Todd, I would just say, though, I think generally, Paul and I are on the same page of just this team has to get younger. They got to get younger. Oh, yeah. And so that guy's dead now, everybody. So
neutralized.
Covered in blood.
Neutralized is the word we use.
That was as fast as I've ever seen you dispose of a body. That was impressive.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here on Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. It's Deuce, it's Tamara, it's Evan, Paul, myself, Matt in the booth with a new control board. How's it going in there?
I love this thing so much.
Yeah? Oh. What can it do? Can it serve us
lunch? I Bluetoothed my phone to it earlier and played some music.
Oh, nice.
That's
not
professional.
We need a Matt Morrell cam so that we could have seen him raising the roof just now.
Yeah.
I was just so excited it all worked.
New
so
toys.
I had to do a little dance.
New toys.
Did they ever find the body mat of that guy that you offed?
Put him in the wall.
Good.
Oh my God.
Good.
All right. Web radio at patriots.com. Let's get to some of these emails. This is Joshua in Somersworth, New Hampshire. The schedule is obviously a hard one. Personally, as tough as it is and as fresh as the team is, I also don't see them really causing any damage. I don't want to be this guy, but I'm going to, Evan, stop moaning. If they get the second or third pick, they'll hopefully use it for the O-line after trading back for more capital.
Oh, man.
I'll take another down year if it means they can use one more draft to fill another spot that they need to in order to become at least more than a 500 team. Wow.
I don't know why I would moan at that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man, I can't even think about the draft, but I just hope that even just talking about when we were like, what pick would they be getting next year? Like, you just hope that there's a little juice at the end of this year, and then it's like, this year there was no juice, and you're getting the third overall pick, and it's, you need to build around him, and it's going to be a process. But like next year, I'm hoping that like we got a guy that can really help a area of need, and this guy is going to help us like really start to get to that next level. Not just like this is a box we have to check because we just simply don't have enough guys. That's what the excitement is going to be. I mean, there's no guarantee.
Yeah,
we'll
I
see how it
hope it's
goes.
like a CJ Stroud type of year where.
Oh, I thought you were
I
CJ
think all
Player.
of us hope that.
I mean, that's what I hope, because I feel like there were no, like, obviously you knew CJ Stroud was good and what he was capable of, but you didn't know how he was going to pan out in the NFL.
No.
You didn't know that he was going to be able to carry the Texans to that point. So
No way.
I
agree.
It's hard to
that
know.
would
That
be-
seems lofty to me, though.
Yeah.
Like to think that he could do that.
No,
like
but
I think
even
it'll
if you
be
watched and I think we talked about it the night we played Houston in the preseason. If you had told me that night that he's going to be not only like leading a playoff team, but he's going to be in the mix for MVP, and he was a legitimate, fringe MVP candidate.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with Nico Collins in that game.
Well, Nico Collins and
Did he truck somebody that night?
He trucked somebody.
Tank Dell is someone that I think
Tank Dell's
a
a
lot
good
of people were really high on, but like Nico Collins is a perfect example of you give him a real quarterback and all of a sudden Nico Collins looks like a guy that can play.
I've said this a million times. There was nobody saying they got a good young nucleus in Houston. They got Nico Collins. No, it was Stroud came in, and suddenly, as Evan said, the quarterback makes the receiver look that much better.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think you can take it to the bank right now that they're going to take a tackle with that pick next year. I mean,
Defensive tackle, you mean?
No.
Oh.
Sorry, Mike.
The Patriots?
Then what are we doing?
Are you okay? Did you fall down?
Oh, we had so much fun in the draft this year. We're like quarterback, but you knew who it was going to be like 3 months to go.
We're going to argue Will Campbell versus Kelvin Banks for 6 months, and you're going to like it.
I'm going to promise you right now, I shan't argue with you at all.
Well,
not about that.
You've already got a favorite.
Not about that.
Those are the two left tackles in this draft that are both projected top 10 picks next year, and one of them is going to be a Patriot.
I might argue with you that they should trade down.
So you're going to be the leader of the tank for tackle parade?
That's all I could
I'm not
do.
tanking for a tackle.
Okay.
But
It's just gonna happen.
It's going to be pretty clear that that's going to be the most their glaring weakness on this team.
But to
going
me,
into
the best
draft.
thing would be is if you could get Drake May on the field and see something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I would care about.
Could you see, because obviously you see injuries happening all the time, and the first week of training camp it could happen. Could you see like someone trading for Bailey Zappi if they need a backup all of a sudden, and then we getting a tackle in return?
No,
not
I can't see that. I could see trading Bailey Zappi, but
another
you're not,
like
you're gonna
Tyler
get
Beasley maybe.
You'd get
For
a
a pick?
conditional 7th round pick for him.
Yeah.
But
Dang.
yes, I could see a trade, especially the way Mayo said that yesterday. That really stood out to me. Like I don't anticipate having 4 guys come training camp.
I
like
feel
poor
like
Bailey Zappi's like, what? I mean, who else would it be? Like,
yeah, and I mean,
we'll
I
see
feel
if Bailey
like-
can last.
I
If
feel
Bailey
like-
can win me over in the next
and
month.
quarterback injuries have just been happening left and right. I feel like the past 2 years, so you just never know.
No, I know. That's what Brissett, the concern is like that kind of derails all the plans, right? If all of a sudden Brissett's off and then maybe you got to keep Zappi, but May isn't that far behind Zappi, and you're kind of like, let's just put May in there and let him work out the kinks rather than treading water with Bailey Zappi.
Lawrence in Indiana, now that we know more about Strange and his status, do you think we need to dip in the very small free agency pool to maybe get another tackle for depth?
No.
Well, Strange isn't a
No,
tackle.
no. I mean, I think they got enough
No,
offensively. There's no talent out there that moves my needle.
It's Donovan Smith and David
What does move the
Bakhtiari.
needle, Mike?
Defensive tackles, evidently, is the only thing that gets his juices
Now
flowing.
you're talking. Now you're talking.
To me, with those two guys being available here, knocking on the door of June.
Yeah.
I know Bakhtiari has said specifically he wants to keep playing. He's not coming off a surgery for the first time in forever. He feels like he can play. Donovan Smith was out of the lineup late in the year, but then he came back and he played the whole playoff run for Kansas City. I don't know.
If it doesn't go well with Okorafor, then
Bakhtiari is
that was how
coming
I
off
answered it
injury,
in the mailbag. Was that like why not see if Okorafor or Caden Wallace can play left tackle, and then if you get through this the off-season spring camps and you head into training camp and you're like, Evan's point about like a Okorafor feeling like that's going to be a long adjustment, then maybe you go and see if those guys are available when you bring one in. I don't know. But I don't feel great about the left tackle spot if Donovan Smith is the left tackle.
I mean, does it feel weird, too, if Okorafor doesn't work out at left tackle? Then you're saying we got Michael Onwenu over at right tackle. Are we now just kind of sitting with Okorafor for no reason? Or do you say
maybe he gets
Mike
cut.
Onwenu goes back to the middle? I don't know.
Tyler in New York City, related question. Can you expand upon why it's harder to play one side of the line than the other? It's just years of muscle memory that needs to be flipped? Are assignments different? From a naive outside viewpoint, I just don't get it. I know it's true. I just don't understand.
Okay.
What's the test?
The best way. Give me that pen.
The Mayo test. No,
Okay.
That's a different thing.
Are you righty or lefty?
Lefty.
Write my name in lefty.
Write your name in lefty?
Yeah. Use your left hand and then write it in righty.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Okay.
Using your offhand. Like you're just.
Yeah.
Everything is flipped. So now your outside hand's your inside hand. Your inside hand's your outside hand. Right.
Right.
So basically, that's what Dante Scarnecchia did with me one time. He was like, "What was?" I said, "Why is it so hard to flip?" He said, "Are you righty or lefty?" I said, "I'm a righty." He said, "Try doing everything lefty."
Yeah.
And see if you can do it.
I got another simple one, which is just cross your arms, and now cross them the other way. It's like,
yeah,
you have to think about it first.
Yeah.
So, I've heard a lot about it, and I think it's a significant thing. And Bill has always said, some guys can do it seamlessly, but for a lot of guys, it's really difficult to do. And he always used Matt Light as the example of he just couldn't do it. But
can I have my pen back?
I'm not sure that it's
That was my demonstration.
And listen, Dante has, forgotten more about offensive line play than I'll ever, especially since I've never learned any of it.
Yeah, right. You don't care to.
He doesn't even want to talk about the draft.
No.
Like the dominant hand, like I don't really understand how that factors in. Like, is every right tackle lefty?
No, it's not about like.
So it's not really like
no,
that.
but it's how you learned it.
Yeah, it's how you learned it.
Yeah,
Is-
right,
is the
but it's
point.
not really like I can't write with the other hand.
No,
Like,
but
that's way harder.
No, but there's a certain sequence of things that you do that you learn it a certain way, and now you're being asked to flip everything you did that sequence. And I can see where some people that might be difficult.
No, I could definitely see
Yeah.
why. I'm not trying to. I'm not saying it's overrated. I think it's very hard.
Yeah.
I think it's a hard transition. I'm just not sure that's the best
like,
analogy.
I like it's crazy, but like when I play tennis and I'm returning a serve, I always have my right foot a little bit in front. And if I were to do the other way, it just wouldn't feel right.
Right.
You know?
But I just think there's probably a lot more people that would be able to successfully transition from right tackle to left tackle than they would be able to write exactly the same with either arm.
Yeah. Oh,
Either
yeah.
hand.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's a great.
No.
Like
I think he was just talking about the uncomfortableness and the awkwardness of
Right.
doing something with your offhand. The biggest thing to me is you're actually your feet, though, when it comes to
Mhm.
tackle play, because you're driving off the opposite foot now, and so you're trained to kick out in one direction all the time, and now the inside foot, your post foot, is a different foot. So like now you're
like your return thing.
Yeah.
you're kicking out, in a different way. And to that point, Isaiah Wynn blew out his Achilles his rookie year playing right tackle in a preseason game because he had played left tackle at Georgia, and then he flipped over to right tackle, and now you're pushing off the other foot. He pushed off his off foot, blew out his Achilles. So it's just things like that are a big part of it. But to Paul's point, there are guys that are true swing tackles that can play
Yeah.
both sides, do it at a decent level. But I think it's a little bit different when you're projected to start on one side of the ball instead of.
It's hard. In the emailer, I think you kind of claimed that he was sort of a novice, but I think he had it, just sort of learning how to do things on the opposite. I think it's as simple as that. Relearning everything.
Louis writes in, he says, love the show, but hey, Evan, your takes, catch-22 and all that, and I love all that. But don't you think that trying to tell us how the Patriots should run practice is a little too much? Especially this soon, I feel like these types of takes or criticism causes problems and distractions for the team. Hopefully Mayo is not paying too much attention to the criticism, but we can just calm down just a little. Just my opinion.
I'm perfectly calm, and I'm not like telling him how to run practice. I'm just telling you what I saw.
Yeah.
Like, we've watched Bill Belichick practices my entire career. You know, Deuce said the same thing about his entire career, and there was a difference there to me about how things were running. That's all I'm telling you. I'm not telling you that they should all be fired because they had this opinion. It's just that's what we saw.
Yeah, I can promise you, Gerard Mayo's not spending any time listening to this.
Jordan, Hawaii, love the show as always. I think there's a lot of media overreaction going on here. For example, Tom Curran titles an entire podcast, Drake May is third-string quarterback because he took the third sets of reps. That's just ridiculous, unnecessary. It's day one of OTAs that you guys see, and they're optional. What we should be excited about is Drake is the last to leave out there with his new wide receivers. That's awesome. Additionally, I've heard a lot of people saying the Milton has QB1 energy. What do you guys think about that?
Oh.
Does he have QB1 energy?
He looks the part. I don't know if that's what that means, but he looks.
Yeah.
He looks like a quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've decided, though, that when people email in about what other people said, other beat writers that are not in this room, I'm not touching it. That's what I've decided.
Why, did you hear something?
I just
what happened?
no.
You hear some? You getting some
no,
blowback?
no, I just
Embrace it.
Tom is obviously getting a lot of flack for some of his Drake May takes, and Tom's not here. I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah,
I'm not going to touch it.
I'm not commenting on the practice for obvious reasons. But I would just say, I'm not really, as Tamara likes to say, I'm not here for the criticism of the third string take, praise for the last guy off the field take. Like, okay. Like, those are two different takes. One's very positive, one's very negative, and you chose to really like, and we should embrace the positive one. I'm not here for that. I'm here, and I wasn't at practice, so I can't tell you either of those takes, with any kind of certainty because I didn't see any of it. But I'm not just going to embrace the thing that, oh, that's really good to hear. Oh, it's great. And I heard Phil Perry talking about it, and it's great. Well, I don't know. Can't you spin it and say, wow, he's way behind because he didn't get any reps during practice, so he had to stay out there longer?
There you go.
I'm not ready to call it.
I'm not going to lie to you, Paul.
I'm not ready to call it a positive without seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That's where my head went to.
Get that work.
I think he'd be out there regardless.
No, probably, Fred. But again, when we see it, for 15 straight days of training camp, I think you can draw a conclusion from it.
Yeah.
Based off one day, one thing is not fair on one day. The other thing is fair on one day because one thing is positive and the other thing is negative.
Yeah.
So I'm not here to beat up on Tom Curran, and I'm not here to praise anybody who's going to get excited about the other thing.
Spee writes in, I'm with Paul. Dante's comparison with handedness seems off. Other more relevant lateralized behaviors can actually seem easy to switch. Like if you have a foot you tend to lead with when walking, as in taking your initial step right-footed, it's very easy to practice in the opposite way, starting with your left foot. Well,
jeez.
Yeah, it might be that,
I'm gonna be
but
thinking
it's
about
not so
that.
easy when the other person's 300 pounds and coming at you full speed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can just see for some people, it would take time.
I could absolutely see it,
Yeah.
and even to was it Spee?
Yeah.
Even that. Did you ever walk toward a flight of stairs?
Yeah.
Did you ever consciously decide which foot you're using first?
No,
to
you
go up the
just
first?
do it instinctively.
But if you don't think about it, it's always the same foot.
Exactly.
I'm going to be thinking about it now.
I know, and you have to think about it to use another foot.
Yep.
If you see me just standing in front of stairs, pondering life, you'll know what I'm going through. I'm like, left foot.
Defensive tackle.
I can't do
Need
it.
more tackle. Need more defensive.
Need to use the elevator, I guess.
Let's see, John. We have a lot of kind of random.
I like those.
Okay.
We're still off season. That's off season.
John is formerly a Brockton, now a Richmond resident.
Oh.
Let's see. He wants to us predict other players that might become available from other teams, cuts and things like that, trades.
I don't think I have that kind of.
Yeah. But
Brandon
his more important question is, does D'Angelo's and Papagino still exist up in New England? I moved to Virginia about 10 years ago and have no idea if my local chain still exists.
Yeah, they merged.
Yeah, they actually merged at Hercules Plaza.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's yes, but the D'Angelo they're
decreasing,
few and far between.
And I missed the number 9 steak bomb. He's right. That number 9 was the best.
What's a steak bomb?
It's
like
steak with
cheese, onions, peppers, mushrooms.
So like a Philly cheesesteak?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Hey,
a
whoa,
little bit
whoa,
different.
I mean,
whoa.
sorry.
It doesn't have mayo, unless you want to put it in. Yeah. He said the sub scene is lacking in
Fred's
Virginia.
always got mayo in the crosshairs. He's got a
puts
bone
mayo
on
on a
mayo.
steak
And
cheese.
Paul, did you
He's
ever
just gonna talk louder now.
did you ever get that traffic ticket settled?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You did.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Oh yeah.
You knew a
Yeah.
guy.
Favorably?
No, I
Oh.
paid it.
Oh, you paid it. Okay.
No.
I wrote a check.
Speaking of fast food,
Oh God.
I went on a rant maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago that Red Lobster should not call
Yes,
itself
I
going
recall.
bankrupt.
Gone.
I recall.
I know.
They listen to this show.
I'm a little bit sad about that.
Oh.
The cheddar biscuits.
No.
Oh,
Well,
people do talk about the biscuits.
Okay,
That's
the
fair.
biscuits.
Is that like Olive Garden?
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
why
The
you
bread?
go,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
they're not a seafood place.
Yeah.
I'm
The
sorry.
cheddar biscuits.
Tamara,
Yeah.
you are living in New England now.
The cheddar biscuits.
You're not eating at Red Lobster.
Treat yourself.
No, I don't. I mean, I don't. But the biscuits.
Oh.
Come
Yeah,
on.
I want to
I-
see if this
that's-
could turn
that's-
into something.
Like-
this is offensive to me. That like you don't live in New England, the seafood capital of the world, and eat at Red Lobster.
No, I don't.
Doesn't
I
it
don't
exist
eat
here?
there up here. But like, for
You're at
people,
least going. You're at least going to Legals or Skipjacks. Like
Oh,
that's,
jeez.
that's
At least that's
that-
high
that-
end. I
that's
mean,
the
just go to
bottom
any
Okay.
shack on the Cape and get.
line. No,
get
to
a
me that's the
nice-
other. Like that's low end,
Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
shacks are like the good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
you
But
know?
when you're living somewhere like South Bend, Indiana, like
Oh,
Red
right.
Lobster's all you have.
no, you just tap out.
Yeah.
No seafood.
But then you get food poisoning too.
Don't go. Don't
No,
go.
I'm not even.
Don't
no.
The cheddar
Well, she
biscuits.
can't go anymore.
The cheddar biscuits, 10 out of 10.
What's
So
your
people seem to like
place?
those.
So good.
What's your go-to?
For seafood,
Yeah.
like what it depends. Like you're talking
What
about
you-
what
what
he's
you're
talking
looking for?
about, or what. So if you what I really like up in Maine, it's only about an hour away. It's called Warren's, really good spot, and they have
My
a
parents have been there.
they have a buffet, and then they also have a menu that you can order off of as well.
Seafood buffet.
No,
Oh.
like just
No, just
more like salad and that kind of stuff. But obviously the seafood comes off the menu. So I really like Warren's. That would be like my seafood restaurant that you're talking about, like kind of hole in the
Like a
walls
dive
type
that's
places.
fresh. you
Yeah.
know.
If I had to pick like a chain,
Fresh.
I'd probably go to Legals.
I
Yeah.
do
Legals
like
is the
Legals.
best.
I do like Legals.
I
They
like
got rid of my
Legals clam
favorite thing.
chowder.
though.
It's really good.
Legal got rid of my favorite thing, which was like a baked seafood casserole, which
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
loved. And
It's
they,
really
they're
Do you
gone.
do like the North Shore at all, like Woodman's? And
Oh,
No,
Woodman's.
No. North
Gloucester.
Shore, no.
Because a lot of people up my way tell me, Woodman's is the place you go, like.
And then they
like-
go to the clam
like
box.
the anchor bar, like
Yeah.
the anchor bar.
Right.
Like if you listen, it's really good. That's where everybody goes. It's kind of cliche, but if you really want it, you go to the Woodman's 2 across the street is the better. I don't know because I don't eat seafood.
Yeah, it's like go to Duff's.
Yeah.
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 No, I think Woodman's. It's expensive, but it's the best.
Yeah. Fresh seafood.
Fried, fried lobster, fried clams.
Fried lobster.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Dip it in butter.
Oh, boy.
Oh my God.
That's good stuff right there.
Yeah.
That sounds. What do you
Red
got?
Lobster.
What's your order for the fried food? What do you get?
If I go to Woodman's,
Fried or just generally you always because I've never seen fried lobster before. I don't
Fried clams, I think everybody gets it.
Clams.
Yeah.
Clams are good.
Well, they claim they invented the fried clam.
I
So it's
believe
got
it.
more similarity to the anchor bar than I thought.
Exactly.
I
There you
believe
go.
it.
Typical Paul
I'm
stumbling
always
into
a
it.
fried shrimp girly.
Fried
Every
shrimp?
time.
Fried shrimp.
Every
Fried,
time.
Yeah.
fried
I like
shrimp.
the.
I need
the
a
fish and
crab
chips.
cake and I need fried shrimp.
Ooh,
So you're Maryland. 'Cause
Yeah.
You're from down there.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
do like crab cakes.
Crab cakes and football.
So good.
There's two
Thanks,
places in
Bill.
LA that both claim they invented the French dip, which was
Huh.
kind of that classic story of like, and then the sandwich just fell into the gravy, and
Right.
the guy was like, "I'll eat it anyway." But there's a couple really good. Well, Philippe's is the one that I always went to, but in downtown LA. But it's sawdust on the ground, piece of pie. How many times do you want it dipped in this? It's awesome. I mean, that was one of my favorite places out there.
Sawdust on the ground.
Yeah,
piece
there's
of
not
pie?
like you know what I'm talking about?
No.
I know what you're
It's not
talking
what
about.
that's like how you describe a place that's kind of you order at the counter,
Hole in the wall
and then you
kind of
go
place.
hole
Okay.
in the wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Alright.
a good French dips.
That's when
I
you
like
know
those
it's good.
stories of like how things like weird food things were invented.
Yeah, that's.
Like wings, like the wings that are like baked twice. There's a story that like the guy was sitting there, they were cold, so he's like, "Oh, just like throw them back in," and then they come
Discovered a
back out,
thing.
and
These are better.
yeah.
If you fry them twice.
Yeah.
Another random question, off-season question, if you will. Kyle from Pembroke. Which set of holidays are better? Cookout holidays like Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, or theme holidays, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas? I personally enjoy the cookout holidays because of the lack of pressure from family and gift giving and the easygoing nature of just enjoying people's company.
I I agree.
I would probably agree. I think they're very different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily look at cookout holidays as holidays per se. But I would much rather go to a cookout than sit down and
Grandma's
have
house for dinner. And
have a Thanksgiving meal.
When are we going to do presents? We got to do presents.
No. See, my problem with those holidays, which I love those holidays, is, besides the fact that we have to work, is that I'm always grilled on, are you talking to anybody? Are you dating? Like, when are you going to get...
The family rundown?
Yes, the family
me
rundown.
Too. They ask Beth all the time, are you seeing anybody? And why not?
Get rid of this guy.
Ma.
See, that's my problem with the Thanksgivings, the Christmas. Those
grilled.
are the questions that are asked.
Yeah, I could see how that would be. That would be tough.
Amir from Haifa, Israel, writes in, hi, Tamara and all. I have a constant argument with my wife. I wonder what your opinion is. I'm an avid Coke drinker.
She's right.
Avid Coke drinker, but I will not drink it once it reaches the bottom of the bottle. She is mad that I keep throwing bottles away, which are like 1/5 full, but I argue that there is a clear marking on the bottle, the lower curve, after which it is simply not drinkable. Many, many years ago, my father took the almost empty bottles and merged them into one, which to this day I consider a war crime. My wife yells at me too. It's not with cans. Like it doesn't. Not just Coke, but she says I always leave like a little bit in the bottom.
Really?
First
I never
of all,
finish
it's
it.
flat. Throw it away.
That's weird.
Like,
Well, not if you drink it right.
Yes, not if you drink
Can
it
you
right.
imagine the number of Pepsis that go to waste if you did that? I mean, jeez.
Oh no,
I wouldn't even think of it.
Like the way though he drinks them, like he drinks them fast enough to where like it's not flat.
Yeah.
But for me, I feel like as a single person, I buy just like cans.
The
because
little minis.
Yeah, because if I buy
not
the liter, I think
not
I
enough.
am gonna end up 4 days, 5 days in, and it's flat, and I'm gonna have to throw it away.
I like those kinds of things, those quirky things.
Yeah.
Like that. Like, won't have the bottom of the soda. I
Paul,
like that.
are you always sent home with all the Diet Pepsi, like after a party or something like that?
No.
Because I just got given 3 bottles of Diet Coke by my family on Sunday. They're like, just give it to Evan. He'll drink it.
He'll drink
And I'm
it.
like,
that doesn't count.
Do you not drink Diet Coke or just
not really?
You
Like
can't.
I will.
It's
in
so
a
much
pinch.
worse than Diet Pepsi.
I will
the
in a
best.
pinch.
It is.
I know.
I 100% agree. But
Fred
I will in a
disagrees,
pinch.
but there's a big difference.
It's a big difference.
Oh yeah, Coke is for adults and Pepsi's for kids.
I told you, Fred. I told you, Fred would be in.
I
any
mean,
day.
the two of us say Pepsi. It's 2 against 1. I don't know.
I'm team other.
But I will
other
say
soda.
that's only with soda. So like if there's like a little bit of like orange juice or something, I'm not gonna throw it away. Like that's still fine. But soda, it's lightly
I know.
flat.
Paul's had waitresses, wrap up Diet Coke to go after a meal. Like
I love that.
Yeah.
Give it to me in a little plastic to go.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Well, it's
but no one-
commonplace
no
with
one's ever
coffee,
asked.
right? Like you can get a coffee to go
Yeah.
at breakfast, right? There's no problem. What's wrong with just, hey, could you?
Paul, after his
Fill me up.
second liter, he's got half a glass. Can you put a
You're
cover
not
on
wro-
that? I'll take it home.
You're not wrong. Like there are times when we do Fridays with finance up at Red Robin.
Oh, yeah?
That
You
they
want
give,
a roadie?
They give
You
us
get
a
a roadie-
roadie.
a roadie Pepsi?
Roadie?
All 3 of us get a roadie to go.
How does Red Robin's another one? How is that still alive?
Red Robin's not bad.
All you can eat fries.
Okay, the fries. The
Yeah.
fries are
It's
10
fine.
out of
No,
10.
the
Bottomless fries.
The tavern burger. Don't get the big burger. Get the tavern burger.
What's that?
It was a smash burger before smash burgers got big.
Did you ever notice he has the know-it-all thing for everything?
Well, especially
what
burgers.
can I tell you?
too.
Where he was,
going on?
what
Well,
can I
say
tell
it's
you?
me.
Last week it was patty melts. He was going into the nuance of patty melts, and now we're going into the nuance of what is it?
Red Robin.
Red Robin.
I've never heard of a tavern burger.
Yeah, it's on the menu.
I've only been to Red Robin a couple times, but I think it's passable.
It's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with Red Robin.
It's not bad.
The only thing
bot-
that's wrong with Red Robin is the service. The service is awful there.
Oh, well, you have to come with us on Fridays with finance because we get treated like royalty.
They give you sodas for free.
The thing about Paul, though,
bottomless.
I do worry about Paul because if he ever, God forbid, if he ever got into a car accident and they needed a blood type, I don't know how they'd match Diet Pepsi.
No.
You
Who
really-
else has Diet Pepsi?
You
for
really
blood?
need to workshop them.
I'm working on that one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You should have quit while you were
Yeah,
ahead.
I was
no one knows when you
formulating
were
that.
ahead.
I was
but-
formulating that, and I just didn't come out right. But
That happens.
You
You
get
got to
the-
take the try.
You get the gist.
It's an
Yeah,
off-season
of course.
show.
Gist,
You
of
never
course.
know what's
I
going to
drink
hit.
a lot of Diet Pepsi.
Yeah. I'll have it ready by the roast.
All right.
Yeah.
Grill a roast.
God.
Oh, boy.
So Cole Strange is hurt.
And he's back.
Wait. So, former Patriots wide receiver Devontae Parker retired.
Oh, yeah. 31.
Doesn't surprise
31
me.
years
I
old.
think that saves the Patriots some money.
Yeah.
On the cap.
Yep.
No, not yet.
No.
Unless he wants to give it back. which would be very nice.
I don't know. Miguel tweeted something about it.
Yeah, I think there was a stipulation in his contract.
So it's he's counting like 3 point something against the cap, and it's in salary. And so if he, out of the niceness of his heart, said, I didn't earn this money, and decides to give the check back to the Patriots, then it would save them money. No player ever does that.
He's not gonna do that.
Yeah, I was thinking more about the cap, but I don't know all the parameters. Nor do I care. It's peanuts.
Tyler writes in another random question. With Denver out, would you consider it a choke job if the Celtics don't win a title this year? That's where I'm at right now. Denver was the one team I was willing to accept beating us. Now that they're out, there's no excuse to not win the title this year. They've been the best team all year. They have home court. They are relatively healthy outside of KP. I acknowledge KP is a huge injury, but I'm assuming he is coming back and will be serviceable. So again, I asked the question, how big of a failure would it be if the Celtics failed to win Banner 18? Is it their title to lose, or am I overrating this team?
I would have said it was a failure even if they lost to Denver. The Celtics should win.
Yeah.
I would have said that as well, but can I reserve the right to change my mind based on what happens in the conference finals in both conferences? Like, Porzingis is out. If someone else gets banged up or something, I might look at it a little differently. But yeah, I think that they should have beaten Denver if Denver got there, and I think they certainly should have an enormous experience advantage over Minnesota. I just don't think that much of Dallas. They should roll Dallas if they play the Mavs.
Yeah, I agree.
Minnesota's good. That's a good young team. I'm not telling you that they're overrated. That's a good team. But
they're
very. I don't think they should be ready to beat the Celtics in a final.
They're very 2022 Celtics. They're a little bit too young right now, but they have the pieces and a nucleus that are.
That said, that was ridiculously impressive what they did in the second half of that game the other night. I'm sure you didn't see it, Fred.
No, I did not.
But they were down 20.
I didn't see it either.
On the road in a game 7,
Surprised.
and just.
Yeah.
What was it, like a 56-26 run or something they went on?
Ooh.
That's crazy.
They just kept hitting all their shots.
With the season on the line.
And their
game
best player
7
didn't
on
even
the
play that
road
well.
against the defending champs. Yeah, and Anthony Edwards was like 2 for 18.
Yeah, he didn't even play that well. I think that, with Minnesota, they're a very, very good defensive team. That's like what their hallmark, that's what they hang their hat on, is that they're a defensive-minded team. Offensively, they don't have the horses to score with the Celtics, but Golden State, teams that can just kind of...
Muckers. They muck it up.
They just grind you down and play good defense and make you earn it and all that kind of stuff. So it would be a fun matchup. I'm with Paul, though, if it's Dallas.
They should win.
They should win either way.
Gosh, I was when they first started in the playoffs, I was hoping that they would end up playing the Knicks instead of the Pacers right now, because just the matchup would have been elite. But obviously now with the Knicks being so hurt, it's
Knicks became the first team in NBA history to lose a series 6-1.
Oh,
the officials. Made sure they won.
Was that
games
a Bradley?
1 and 2.
Did you cross this
with
Bradley?
It was pretty funny because
Did you already do it? Because I was going to give him a couple of days.
I didn't text him on Sunday. I let it breathe on Sunday.
I let it breathe.
Oh, you should see the text of us
Marinate.
back and forth. Just
He does like to give it.
So much trash talk.
He dishes
between
it out.
The two of us. So I let it breathe on Sunday. I didn't text him. And then I walked up to him before practice on Monday, and he's like, "It's okay." Like, just like already.
It was a great season.
Already went into it. Like, I didn't even say anything yet, and he was already just,
I do feel bad for him. Like, they just lost
every
player.
Me too. I was pulling for Celtics Knicks because
that would have been
mainly because I wanted to, have being a little office rivalry going on with Bradley, but I was just pulling for that series too because I don't think the Pacers are going to give the Celtics much trouble, whereas I think a healthy Knicks team could have maybe given them
so fun
a
to
series.
watch. Those tickets would have been crazy.
See, I think they're both going to be 5 games, but to your point, I think the Knicks would have made them work in the 5 games, whereas the Pacers are just going to run up and down the court trying to outscore them.
Well, funny story. I actually saw the Pacers in person this year.
Did.
So if you guys have any questions,
You did. Who's their best player?
Mike, how many?
Tyrese Halliburton.
There you go. Nailed it.
Almost
nailed
didn't.
it.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Nailed it.
Sticking with
it's the best $8 I ever spent.
Sticking with basketball, Melvin in Tennessee, sweet kid. How good was Bill Laimbeer? He seems like a solid Draymond Green of another era, but everyone just really disliked him.
Good comp.
Yeah.
He's more physical.
Even I
than
remember
Draymond
that.
Green.
Good comp.
Yeah.
Like more nasty.
But that's just because you could be that.
be.
You could actually foul people and not get called for a foul.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But that's a good comp.
It's a great villain.
Yeah.
Part of that
He
team
was a
too in
great
Detroit.
villain.
That was.
I remember
right?
that. I was at the game when Robert Parrish just hauled off and just punched him in the face.
Had enough.
Yeah, he had enough.
Yeah, I definitely don't
and
look
what
at
happened?
Draymond Green as that level.
Detroit ball.
right.
Inbound.
Neither one of them left. It was fine.
Yeah, right.
I don't look at Draymond Green as a rival on Bill Lambier's level though. Like
No,
Celtics
because
have
we
some
didn't.
wars against Bill
because we
Lambier.
didn't play the Golden State like every year like
Yeah,
we did
right.
in Detroit. But
Right.
he was a great villain, and I despised him. Oh, did I hate Lambert?
Oh, I remember. Remember Johnny Most was the radio play-by-play
yeah.
guy, and I remember
Another way of the gutless
That's
way
the
they do things here.
Lambert hurt Bird, and Bird had to go out of the game, and Johnny was, they got what they wanted. They got what they wanted. They hurt Bird. Lambert. Oh,
That's
gutless. Oh, he was.
Good Johnny Most.
That was good.
It's a good Johnny Most.
It was
good.
so funny.
I'm actually happy the Nuggets lost though. I have to get this take out there on Patriots Unfiltered. I think the Nuggets. I said this to you off the air. Jokic, in my opinion, is bad for the NBA. He's bad for the league because he doesn't actually care. Like he doesn't actually care about basketball.
You like the memes about him?
I personally think that the face of the league should be like a hooper, like a guy that lives in the gym, that puts
I
all
get
the
what
work
you're
in.
saying.
Like LeBron, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, like those guys were just like big time gym rats.
Hooper.
Jokic is just happy that he gets to go back to Serbia.
But are you like? And I don't know. In full disclosure, I'll tell you I don't know. But do you think that that's a little bit overplayed? That he really doesn't care?
I think it's a little bit overplayed, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that they didn't go back to back because I don't think that he's built for it.
Well, they certainly didn't not go back to back because of him.
No, but I don't think that team in general was built for it. And then the coach comes out and the coach is an ass.
The coach is an ass,
and
Michael Porter did like absolutely nothing the whole series. Like that's a killer.
Melvin also wants to know, what was Larry Bird's best playoff series? I'm going back and watching basketball from the 80s, and I need a little help.
I have a lot of candidates. I would say 84 Lakers series in the final. He was pretty unbelievable.
When he stole the ball.
No, that was
lays it over to DJ.
DJ lays it out. That was the Pistons, right?
The Pistons.
Yeah.
One of the best series that he played is a series they lost. The 87 finals, I think, against the Lakers.
Yeah.
He almost, that was the year that Parrish had the badly sprained ankle, McHale had the broken foot, and it was basically Bird against the peak Lakers. And he came really close to taking a 3-2 lead if they could have gotten a rebound at the end of Game 4. They ended up losing on the Magic skyhook. After Bird had hit a shot to put him ahead, they should have had the stop. But he was unbelievable in that series all by himself. The Hawks one where
I remember that one.
Game 7 against Dominique, and Dominique had like 48, and Bird had 40 something, and Bird had like 25 points in the fourth quarter.
I used to watch basketball. Those days I remember.
There was, I think it was,
teams.
it might have been the 84 season. I literally watched every game, all 82 games.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oof.
For the Celtics.
Because
I will never do that.
I was such a Larry Bird fan.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I come pretty close. I wouldn't say all 82 just because things come up, life that were.
I'm lucky if I see
Patriots
30.
are playing or something that I can't, but I watch, I would say 75 of 70, 75.
Oof. Yeah.
Every year. I mean, like from my whole life.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing, when you watch as many games as I did, and as good as Larry Bird was, he had some bad games, and so then, I listen to, people on sports radio and everything when they, get on Jaylen Brown and all that, Jason Tatum and every game isn't going to be 40 points. Like even Larry Bird, the greatest of the great,
been if he wanted it to be.
the greatest of the great Celtics, had his bad games. Teams would just do a good job on him, or he wasn't 100% or whatever. So
there's a lot of hate out there right now.
Oh
for
yeah,
the Celtics.
I mean,
a lot of hate.
They're waiting. They're lining up for Jason Tatum. They're lining up.
Yeah.
But I hope he does well.
He will.
Yeah.
He's got this.
You got this.
I've never been more confident.
Matt in Madison, Wisconsin, another random. Does any of the PU crew watch European football, and if so, which club do you support?
Eric did.
Yeah.
I'm not
Chelsea,
gonna,
right?
I'm not a religious watcher, but I follow it. Like I know where the players are main guys are playing now and all that stuff. But I don't watch.
Who are the
it
main players
recklessly.
now?
Well, it depends on now it's kind of turning of a guard, so to speak. It's sort of like
Messi.
football.
Messi, right?
No, it's sort of like football. Well, yes, but he's in Miami now, so no. Where the Bradys and the Mannings and those Ronaldo, Messi, that's my generation. Those guys are starting to get a little old now, and aren't necessarily at the peak of their powers. Mbappe's I think probably the best player in the world. Plays for France in the
What
World
about
Cup.
the guy from Manchester United, the blonde?
The blonde.
That really narrows it down.
No, he's like the big guy.
How many
I like how he
blonde
kicks.
soccer players?
He's
are there?
he's great.
Yeah.
Come on, you don't know him?
I
What's
don't know
his
who
name?
you're talking about.
Different.
Oh, somebody.
I'm
tell
sure I would know if you told me the name, but
Yeah.
a
Someone
blonde
will
on
write in.
Manchester United doesn't do
Someone
it
will
for me.
know. The blonde.
We need Matisse. Matisse is
Matisse
the soccer
should know.
guy.
Matisse
Yeah,
is
no,
definitely soccer.
he's one of the great
Like I
best
said,
players in the world.
I'm not
told.
claiming to be a soccer guy.
Alejandro Garnacho?
No,
Garnacho. That's a good
no.
name.
Big blonde guy. Maybe it's not MU. It could be City, but
Just Google blonde soccer.
he's definitely in the Premier League. Yeah.
Who's that blonde plays soccer?
Anyway, I don't know. Let's see. James Pettigrew says about left or right-handed, if it's any help, I can do most things easily. Okay.
That's why you're the most interesting.
He's
Patriots fan alive.
ambidextrous. Spee again. Evan lecturing Tamara about local cuisine. Didn't he eat McDonald's in Germany? No, that was me.
I did not eat McDonald's.
That was Tamara.
Yeah,
I
and
did
that-
eat McDonald's.
I was going to say that was
twice.
actually Tamara. Tamara and Alex and Matisse, right?
I had McDonald's twice in Germany.
Don't throw me in that
I did-
category.
Wait,
No.
wait, did you go to
Five Guys.
Five Guys?
We went to
I
Five
didn't. I didn't go
Mike
there
and I-
either.
Oh
no,
my
no, no,
Mike and I
no.
went
Okay,
to Five
wait,
Guys,
wait,
but I
wait.
also had the schnitzel.
Wait, but I will call out. I will call out Evan on this. He was too good for German coffee. He had to have Starbucks.
That's true.
Well,
I do
That's
recall.
true.
I do
Yeah.
recall
Starbucks.
that.
That's
I immediately texted Beth and said, "Oh, you'd like Evan."
That's true. But
but Starbucks.
Yeah.
I'm sure it doesn't surprise anybody that I am a food snob.
Yeah.
That's
Food?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Well,
it doesn't
Patrick-
surprise anybody.
Patrick in Ottawa thinks I'm a food snob.
Oh.
He says when
Oh,
Fred
I
speaks,
agree.
when Fred speaks of food, it's with such snobbery.
Yes,
Ah.
there's no question.
That he
nails it.
He channels the soul of Eric.
You tell everybody, don't get this, get this.
Yeah.
This is the better
I
one.
like-
I
You can't
prefer
put mayo
Peacemaker
on it.
Fred. Yeah.
I
Can't
feel like
put
Fred
mayo
and I are on the same wavelength, but he does it a little bit more than I do.
He's
performative.
worse than you at it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I
Smash
for once,
burger,
I'm not the
before
snob,
smash
yeah.
burgers became the tavern burger. That's the one. That's the one.
That's
You're
the one
wasting
you
your
want.
time with the Whiskey River barbecue.
No mayo on it. Don't put mayo on it.
Yeah.
Mayo will ruin it.
Who
Let's
puts mayo on a steak?
I don't know, but that's Fred's always telling you not to put mayo on something.
Do you
Well,
remember?
you don't put mayo on an Italian.
Well, you don't. I mean, I have to go. No, I have to go Team Fred here. You don't put mayo on it.
Okay,
You
so-
can, you can if you want, but then it ceases to be an Italian.
Oh.
Now it's another sandwich altogether.
I could tell why he likes Seinfeld.
Wow, I've never heard this.
Yeah,
Mayo
it's
on
true.
Italian.
My
I've
mom-
had mayo
What
on
do you
it.
put
My
on
mom
it?
Put
Italian.
oil, vinegar.
Jimmy John's puts
pepper,
mayo on
salt.
an Italian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'm pretty sure my mom puts mayo on her Italian.
Ham and cheese.
Well, then it's
Put
not
mayo
an
on ham and
Italian.
cheese.
It's a cold cut sandwich. Now
Yeah.
it's
Just
no
a
longer
cold
an
cuts.
Italian.
Okay.
Do you put, what about ham and cheese? Would you put mayo on that, or just mustard?
No,
No.
I like people can't. I
I
put
would
mustard.
go. I would go mustard on a ham
Yeah.
and cheese, but
Yeah.
you know, unlike Fred, I'm
Mustard.
not telling you how you have to
A little
do
spicy brown.
Yeah.
I like it.
In Canton, Maryland,
Oh.
there is a place that serves a tall boy natural bohemian known as a natty boy with a lump of crab meat on the top of the can and rimmed with Old Bay.
Oh.
It's the perfect drink snack combination.
Like a natty
boy.
light?
He's a
Wow.
natty
That's
boy.
what it looks like.
Yeah,
It's a little snapshot
I don't like
here.
the sound of that.
I haven't had a
don't know.
natty light since college.
I'm intimidated by all this crab eating that goes on down there because it always looks like they have shells on them, and people are like, you got it. And I'm like, do you eat the shells? Like, I don't understand that.
Natty
Like
light,
soft shell
ugh.
crabs. Like you eat the crab shell, that hard part. You chew it.
do.
Tamara, is that?
I don't.
Natty
No.
light is
Can
what you
if you
bought
want.
People do?
in high school if you lost
Some
the
people are
stickball
weird.
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Some people are
2-on-2, and the loser had to buy a case. Natty light is always
Oh,
what you
yeah.
What
bought.
about
the
Milwaukee's
cheapest.
best?
Oh, yeah.
Well, a natty light was always the cheapest
Yep.
thing you could buy.
Yep.
We used to drink this stuff called Vitamin. It was $6 a case.
And you
Yeah.
got screwed.
Well, I think that's what Natty Light was. I remember Natty Light being
Yeah.
$6 a 6-pack back in college, and
Yeah.
you do a power hour, which is a shot of beer every
Yeah.
minute for an
For an
hour,
hour,
and
yeah.
it would last you 6 beers, and
Did you
It
ever
would get you there.
Did you ever go for the second hour?
No.
It's amazing how it hits you.
Oh no, I know, right?
Right?
It doesn't sound hard at first. You're like, I'm
No.
just sipping beer.
We
here.
did it on New Year's Eve once. We were like pre-gaming, and we did
Power
it,
hour.
and we did like the hour, and then I was like, let's do another hour. We got like 10 minutes in. I was like, I'm gonna have to stop.
Yeah. When I was in like negative checking the end of my freshman year, that was what I was resorting to. I'm like, you guys go to the bar. I'm gonna power hour here. I'll meet you out at late night.
Power hour.
Do you guys ever have Heffenreffer? Do you remember that
I have.
stuff?
I had Heffenweizen.
Everybody said it was the most potent beer that was on the market.
I don't. Maybe at the time.
So I thought it was like urban legend.
Yeah. No, it was pretty. Comparatively speaking.
I think I
potent.
had one.
It had the little riddles and the bottle caps.
I don't
Remember that?
I can't recall.
Yeah. Oh, we drank some really piss poor beer.
Well, now you have like the IPAs
Rolling
that have
Rock?
like the high
Rolling
Rolling
Rock,
Rock. Yeah. The IPAs with the high alcohol content. So it's like you don't like when I was in high school, it was ice, like Bud Ice, and those things all came out because there was more alcohol and you wouldn't have to like try to acquire more beer. Like you could just get by with a beer and a half maybe. But yeah, now it's all.
Oh, it's like weed.
I was like
What are you
13.
in the eighth
It's
grade?
like marijuana. Like the stuff that the kids smoke now is like high octane compared to
is
the,
it?
I feel like
compared to the
right?
dirt back then. Oh
I
my
feel
God.
like back
the
then
THC.
people.
I'm
we
getting
weren't
it not
even-
so much from the
It
expert
all depends on where you're
on the
getting
show.
it from.
We
I
weren't
feel-
smoking weed back in the day. We were smoking like it was like some
Crack?
Yeah, some
Grass.
plants that
Also,
they just
I feel
Chronic.
bag.
people were drinking Four Locos, which are
Four
so
Loko, good one.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Wait, Four Locos back?
I think they are back.
I do think they
Oh.
are back, but they're like
They
4L now or something.
Yeah,
They,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
they
They
were
rebranded.
well
I
because
don't know what that is.
it's like a
It's like
energy drink combined with
alcohol.
alcohol.
Oh, okay.
And they banned it for like
Yeah.
the United States banned it.
Kids were
Like,
dying.
Yeah.
Some kid's heart exploded or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
His heart exploded. What are you gonna do?
Tough luck.
Dan in Virginia, Michigan says Paul's blood is so carbonated that if he eats Mentos, he'll explode.
Fred, that's the workshop line that you needed to have.
He says, "Thank you. I'll be here all week trying to veal."
Good job.
That's
That Dan?
That's a
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
Dan,
That's
well
a
done.
joke.
That's
That's
good.
a joke right there.
And
That's a
try
good
the
joke.
veal at the
Yeah.
end.
That's the joke that Fred has been working on for 22 years.
Philippe from Rio de Janeiro says that the player I'm thinking of is Holland. I forget his first.
The
is
blonde?
Victor Holland.
Tom Holland?
Mr. Holland.
Haaland. That is who I'm
Nope.
thinking of.
No idea.
Holland.
Richard Dreyfuss. Back to Hooper.
Yeah, he's from Man City. Man City.
Okay.
Okay.
Disturbing movie, by the way. I
Mr.
was
Holland's
not a big fan of that movie.
What?
Mr. Holland's Opus?
Oh, never saw it.
Tug at your heartstrings a little
Don't
bit.
know what
Sort
you're
of ignored his
I don't really
kid.
remember.
Like, I didn't
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, he was a jerk.
ignore
He was nice to everybody else.
He's like this big music guy, and his son's deaf, and he's like, "Oh, well, you know you value
That's
to me."
right.
You
I
know,
forgot.
Like, like
What'd
you
you
can't
say-
hear it.
You say it was disturbing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Sounds
know what?
very
But
Eric.
I thought you were. Remember the movie Manchester by the Sea?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was
Oh,
a depressing
jeez.
Oh,
movie.
that's-
Period.
Talk
Yeah.
about disturb.
Oh,
The
I
best
know.
movie I never want to see
No,
again.
I know.
Yeah, it's
Never want to like
fantastic
light a
movie.
fire in
I
your
never
house
want to
and
see
think
that
about it
movie again. But
Awesome movie.
it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck.
Yeah. Let's see. Jack says, Fred, shame on you. You have committed a sacrilege against the Celtics by calling Larry Bird the greatest of the great Celtics. As great as Bird was, he was not the greatest. That honor belongs to Bill Russell. It's ridiculous that a guy from Michigan is schooling you about your beloved Celtics. That's up for debate.
Absolutely.
I
up for
agree.
debate.
I mean, Bill
100%.
Russell was the greatest defensive player for sure.
and the greatest winner in the history
yeah,
of team
and
sports.
The greatest winner, but as an all-around basketball player, I'll take Bird.
Yeah, me too.
Especially with your personal experience with, I mean, I think a lot of your like sports takes are based on like I watched this like Ray Bork for me as on like a pedestal that he probably shouldn't be, but that's who I loved when I was a kid,
Yeah.
So I
just think anything. Once you got to 1980s NBA basketball, like those guys would hold up in the league today. I think Bill Russell would hold up in the league today as like an athletic rim running 5 type of player, but Larry Bird would be good.
And remember, Bill Russell was only like 6'9".
Right, that's my point.
Right. Yeah.
Like the 60s, we're getting into a little bit touchy territory.
But he'd be
on
able to
those
play
guys.
now for the reasons that Evan just said. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be. I mean, I know Porzingis is 7'3", but you don't have to be that anymore.
Right.
There's no they're not pounding you into the post and trying to abuse 6'9" Bill Russell.
Is hockey the most jarring sport when you look back at what it looked like in like the 50s?
I think
compared to now.
I think they're almost all jarring.
Yeah.
You know, you watch a basketball game from like the 70s or 80s, and it doesn't look like the same sport.
Yeah.
Like
Hockey,
you look at
goalies.
like
two-handed set shots.
one of the final series I think that Jordan was in, like there was like three-pointers or something like that. Like it's just not even the same game.
Elle from Wisconsin, to be honest, I can trust Fred's food takes ever since he said you should only eat meat and ravioli. I don't know if he meant can or can't, but that is true.
Meat ravioli?
Yeah,
Oh.
if there's no meat in the ravioli, then don't eat it.
What about cheese ravioli with meat sauce?
Okay, I can. It's okay, but
I'm gonna
there has to be meat involved.
I'll
in some
paraphrase
way.
Fred. If there's meat in the ravioli, then it's not a ravioli.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, it's not. It's something whole
He's
different.
Italian.
So there has to be cheese in the ravioli.
He's Italian. So.
Also, fried
The ragat.
ravioli.
The ragat.
Fried ravioli. Do you have a problem with
Oh,
fried
yeah.
ravioli?
Yeah,
No, that's
but-
not a real
but,
thing.
I mean,
It's so good.
again, unlike Fred, I don't tell everybody else what they should and shouldn't like.
There's just a whole subgenre of stuff that we just fried, and it was great.
Like,
Shocker.
it's like I don't eat a lot of seafood, but I can totally understand why people who do love it.
Right.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
Have you ever had a fried Snickers? No, but I'm sure.
Are you one of those Italians that calls it gravy, like it's
Yeah.
sauce?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or is
Yeah.
it just is it gravy? Is it sauce?
I mean, I call it gravy, but again,
Yeah.
I understand why people don't.
Yeah.
Like,
It's from the old world.
It's regional.
I get that.
Sauce.
It's gravy in Rhode Island.
And there it is.
Tobias from Switzerland. The player you're looking for, Fred, is Erling Braut Holland from Manchester City. Absolutely, that is the guy.
That's your guy?
Yeah,
Well,
Claire,
that's not my guy. He's good.
Claire chimed in with that, too.
Yeah.
Hello, Fred. Close.
Everybody is. Hey, girl. Jack in Ann Arbor. I live in landlocked Ann Arbor, Michigan. Although we have a Red Lobster, I don't eat there for seafood.
Yeah.
Ann Arbor has a multitude of excellent options, including the Gandy Dancer, Pacific Rim, Monahan Seafood Market, and JJ Crab House.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. No, it doesn't.
I would think that nowadays with
From Lake Michigan.
you should
seafood.
be able to get food everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I know. But if you don't smell the ocean, I feel like I'm going to get like seafood. I want to be near the ocean.
No, but like,
you're not
like
giving Rhode Island
legal
credit.
seafood, you can order their stuff and have it shipped anywhere, and it's fresh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm just gonna be a Fred. I'm gonna be a snob about seafood and tell you if you're in a landlocked state, you don't have good seafood. Sorry.
Fair point.
I
Not sorry.
don't know. You can get it. I'm saying.
So you can ship it.
Yeah, they ship it.
But you think about the supply chain and then how long did it and like did
We
someone
literally-
get scallops
They
yesterday?
literally went
or-
out in the morning, caught the fish, and put it on my plate
Oh
here.
yeah.
That's seafood.
Well,
That's
yeah.
what's fun.
Absolutely.
Swimming
You don't
around.
know from seafood.
No.
Parkers.
All right. That's going to be it for this
Hoopa!
edition of Patriots Unfiltered. When's Catch 22?
Thursday.
10
a.m.
Okay, and we'll be back on Thursday as well. We will talk to you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original